Part 13. Restarting the Myth. Author, Feng Chao Huang. Chapter 121. The thousand-eyed demon looked at Wayne meaningfully and pointed out his true identity when they met. Wayne was astonished. He is not a real Death Knight, but he holds the Shadow Nightmare, an exclusive mount, and has obtained the power of death. After putting together the Death Knight suit, he is no different from the real one. When he first got the Death Knight vest, Wayne couldn't hold back his impulse and pretended to be cool. Later, the more he thought about it, the more wrong he became. He redefined the vest as an object of blame, and then appeared only to kill people, steal goods, and sink corpses at the bottom of the river. For example, tonight, he put on a vest to execute justice. In order to better shirk the blame and play the role of the Death Knight, Wayne obtained a large amount of information from Yulia, the Knight of the Goddess of Death walking on Earth, the owner of Paris's underground catacombs, and the chief instructor of 800,000 skeleton soldiers. Concluding that the real Death Knight is located in Paris, an urban legend that actually exists. Because his outfit was completely fake and his abilities were exactly the same, no one dared to expose him even if he was suspected. With many concerns, no one objected to Wayne calling himself a Death Knight. The thousand-eyed demon pointed out the truth when they met, and even called him the new Death Knight. Wayne didn't know if the other party was bluffing, or if he really had the exact information, so he assumed the worst. The devil in hell knew the predicament of the previous Death Knight, who had no horse, no head, no sword, and was a skeleton infantry. However, it's not that easy to just try to get the upper hand. As expected of the devil of hell, he knows everything about the Death Knight. Can you tell me where you got the information? Wayne smiled sinisterly, held down the hilt of the knight's sword, and pulled away the tiger flag. The goddess is very concerned about this. I was ordered to investigate this matter, but I don't have any clues yet. The thousand-eyed demon regretted his quick words and said after a moment of silence, I do have some information related to hell. The previous Death Knight was controlled by a powerful demon. Who? Wayne's eyes exploded with white light, and strong death energy surged. Who has desecrated the majesty of the goddess? Under his crotch, the undead warhorse Yulia breathed out purple flames and stepped on the ground with his front hooves, looking a little crazy. The mist rolled violently, the howling wind came interspersed, the tombstones swayed left and right, and the sound of fingernails scraping against the coffin was heard everywhere. What a grumpy guy! Seeing this scene, the thousand-eyed demon could only say, I don't know which demon god it is specifically. I only know that the other party is one of the 7 demon kings. He hopes to spread faith in the world by controlling the knights of the goddess of death. The devil's mouth is a liar. Wayne doesn't believe this and will go crazy when he pulls out the Shadow Nightmare. Thousand-eyed demon, you said it was one of the 7 demon kings who desecrated the majesty of the goddess. It is ridiculous. I think it is you who is right. It's impossible. I just came to this world and I don't have the ability to do this. Wisps of death aura and mist are entangled in one place. Every time it touches the thousand-eyed demon, a trace of life is wiped away, leaving behind a shriveled millipede corpse. The thousand-eyed demon was slightly unhappy. Death Knight, I'm here to cooperate with you, not to see you lose your mind. After saying this, black smoke rose up around him, cutting off the breath of death and solidifying a private domain. The life barrier is stronger than the Golden Mage, similar to the life force field of the legendary mage. In the field, the shriveled insect corpses are resurrected, covered with a layer of dark metallic luster, and become more powerful than before. A body with no power and no decisive thinking, the thousand-eyed demon only sent a puppet. Wayne put away the Shadow Nightmare and said displeasedly, your true body is not here. Is this your sincerity in cooperation? The thousand-eyed demon sneered, when we first met, that piece of information was my greatest sincerity. He didn't believe in the Death Knight. As a devil, he had seen too many intrigues in hell. He didn't believe in anyone but himself. This devil is obviously super strong but too cautious. Wayne secretly thought that it was a pity that killing only one puppet was not in line with his expectations. There was a high probability that tonight's plan would be ruined. Fortunately, the problem is not big. As long as the alliance is successful, there is always a chance to see the true form of the thousand-eyed demon. I am not interested in cooperation. The goddess is aloof and proud, and death is peaceful. As a knight of the goddess, I will not and cannot cooperate with the evil god of hell. Knight, you are too arrogant. Because of this arrogance, the belief in death has never been able to become the mainstream. Thousand-eyed demon said calmly, look at the Life Alliance, they are also goddesses, but their beliefs have been recognized. It has nothing to do with you. Wayne smiled contemptuously, besides, the goddess doesn't care. Regardless of whether the world approves it or not, all things will eventually wither. Death cannot be escaped. Everyone must return to the embrace of the goddess. Having said that, the belief in the goddess of death has been suppressed by the Life Alliance in the human world. As a knight of the goddess, don't you want to change something? It seems that the knight is also worried. The thousand-eyed demon was unhurried. I heard about what you did in London. The goddess of death does not care about faith. Death is changing. This is right, but a good beginning does not mean a good ending. The Alliance will not let this go, and war will come sooner or later. Thousand-eyed demon, what do you want to say? We can cooperate. Under the propaganda of the Heavenly Father Church and the Life Alliance, hell and death have been labeled as evil. We can reverse all this. Before defeating them, we are the best allies. Thousand-eyed demon said seductively. They are just some small bugs. I can defeat them by myself. Why should I cooperate with you? Wayne snorted disdainfully, his skull face full of arrogance. Knights can be fearless, but the followers of death are too fragile. The Life Alliance uses this as a breakthrough point, and the glory of the goddess of death can never be spread. The Thousand Eyes demon stated the facts and reasoned, like the current London, the reputation of death has improved, but how long can the followers last? The knights alone cannot break the cage. You need an ally. Wayne was speechless for a long time, and after a moment he said, tell me about your plan. Took the bait. The Thousand Eyes demon smiled. Any life has desires, whether it is a human, a knight chosen by God, or even a devil. He knew before coming that the two sides would definitely reach a cooperation. Otherwise, the Death Knight would not meet him. Seeing the knight's magic creation, I believe you already know that the mist of London can give birth to magical life. The Thousand Eyes demon said, slowly accumulating power cannot overturn the cage created by the Life Alliance. Only by forming an army of magical life can it be possible. I happen to have mastered this power. You mastered it, not me. Knight, there should be the most basic trust between allies. Yes, but the devil is not trustworthy. The Thousand Eyes demon was helpless. The reputation of hell was too bad. The devil had no credit to overdraft. 9 times of advent and 10 times of failure, in the final analysis, it was because of the lack of trust that led to the rebellion. Okay. The Thousand Eyes demon seemed to have made up his mind and said slowly, I will tell you the specific location of the magic circle and give you half of the command power. I will provide people and you will provide strength. Before the army is formed, you need to resist the Heavenly Father Church. What about you? What are you going to do? Wayne felt that this was the key. I will reselect a body from the believers. The Thousand Eyes demon gave the answer, really, he didn't lie, he only said half of it. How long will it take? Very soon, not long. The camera turned, and the Thousand Eyes demon led the Death Knight to the underground lair. This is a desolate and silent ancient city. The architectural style is very similar to the ancient Rome in Wayne's impression. It is huge, majestic, and spectacular. It uses a lot of round arch structures and is equipped with decorative columns. The ancient city is unknown from where it came from. It lies quietly under London and needs to pass through an abandoned subway platform to reach it. Wayne is not sure about the origin of the city. He suspects that it is related to the Thousand Eyes demon. The Thousand Eyes demon arrived in London first, and then the city appeared. Whether it is Abio, Aben, or Yulia, including Wayne himself, they all like to fool around in the sewers and subway tunnels. They have never found the virgin land at the end of the sewer before. Moreover, several churches have been working hard in London for hundreds of years, but no one has found it. But the Thousand Eyes demon found it as soon as he came. The devil is really something. The Thousand Eyes demon brought Wayne to an ancient building similar to the Colosseum. The square was vast, with audience seats on all four sides climbing up the steps, and the outer wall was about 100 meters high. Above the empty Colosseum, fierce shouts and roars echoed from time to time, forming a sharp contrast with the empty audience seats. Wayne saw dried blood stains in the Colosseum. After years of wind drying, the blood soaked the boulders and coated them with a thick layer of black stains. The Colosseum seemed to be in use some time ago. Wayne silently memorized these, with a calm face, as if it was nothing special. I can do it too. The Thousand Eyes demon did not pay attention to the changes in the Death Knight's expression. After all, it was a skull face, without skin, let alone any expression. In the Colosseum, the Thousand Eyes demon had already arranged the magic circle. A complex magic circle was arranged in the air, opening the space channel and drawing the fog of the night of London here. The inverted pentagram magic circle representing hell was placed in the center, with strange animals placed on it. After being manipulated by the Thousand Eyes demon, it was difficult to see the original appearance of these animals. In front of the magic circle, a black crystal ball was placed on the altar, with black undercurrents surging inside, changing into distorted faces. Knight, you can control these magical lives by injecting your thoughts into it. Wayne did not act. As he said, the devil's words were even more unreliable than his diary. There was no way to trick him into leaving his thoughts. The Thousand Eyes demon shrugged. Believe it or not, he offered it with both hands sincerely. If the Death Knight didn't want it, it was none of his business. Wayne jumped off the undead warhorse, and the latter jumped into the portal. When he came back, he held the water ghost Abio in his mouth. Abio, inject your thoughts into the crystal ball, and you will control the army for me, Wayne ordered coldly. X2. The Thousand Eyes demon shook his head repeatedly. His ally had distrust written on his face. He didn't even have the most basic respect. If he hadn't needed a cannon fodder, he would have kicked this ally away long ago. Abio was confused. The crystal ball looked unsafe. If he injected his thoughts into it, what if there was an extra master? Thinking of this, Abio felt that he was thinking too much. It was because of the insecurity that the master pushed him out. It's too hard to be someone's younger brother. Even if you die, you won't be at peace. Abio was full of complaints. He didn't dare to disobey the master's order. He raised his hand to hold down the crystal ball and injected his thoughts into it. From today on, you must stay here during the day. You only have half an hour to take a shower at night. If you find anything unusual, notify me immediately. Wayne gave orders to Abio, and then turned to the Thousand Eyes demon and said, if you have anything, you can tell Abio, he will contact me. The Thousand Eyes demon looked unhappy. Allies should be equal, but after the Death Knight's operation, he became working for the other party. It's so funny. The last Death Knight who teased the devil like this had his head taken off and kicked like a ball. As a mature devil, the Thousand Eyes demon smiled and said nothing until Wayne got on his warhorse and left. Then he slowly turned around and looked at Abio. Young man, your master is not so friendly to you. It has nothing to do with you, I am happy. Abio refused to communicate with the devil, even eye contact, and came to the corner of the Colosseum and found a place to sit down. The Thousand Eyes demon did not entangle. He introduced Abio to a new job purely out of occupational disease, and disgusted the Death Knight by the way, and did not really intend to dig Abio away. In his plan, only the Knights of Death and Darkness were qualified to be cannon fodder. Unfortunately, the Dark Knight's whereabouts were secretive, and the Dark Goddess's followers could not contact him, so he could not gather the two Knights' dream cannon fodder camp. The Thousand Eyes demon looked at the dome of the ancient city, and a dark light flashed in his eyes, stitching up the passage connected to the outside world. This is a sure thing. Wayne's house, study. Wayne sat at the desk, writing and drawing on paper, marking the location of the underground ancient city, and listing the intelligence collected today one by one. He frowned at the information in front of him. The devil's lies should not be believed easily. The Thousand Eyes demon was so easy to talk to, and he didn't complain even when he was bullied. It can only mean that the other party had a big plan and was willing to lower his posture for this. Wayne closed his eyes. His target is not the Heavenly Father Church. Creating magical life through fog is just a means, or even just a smoke screen to cover up the truth. Damn, it would be great if I could find his true self. Wayne opened his eyes and looked out the window. Kerr's face flashed before his eyes. This detective is very likely from the Heavenly Father Church. If the information about the arrival of the Thousand Eyes demon in London is handed over to the other party, the Heavenly Father Church may have a way to deal with it. No, at least not now. The Thousand Eyes demon will suspect me. It will be even more difficult to find him if the clues are broken. Wayne shook his head. Referring to Bishop Keith, the Heavenly Father Church is unreliable and will definitely alert the enemy if he is rash. But the information must be sent out. There is no reason for me to silently guard London alone. They are drinking and picking up girls every night. Wayne rubbed his temples. How to operate so that the Heavenly Father Church can accidentally discover the underground city must be cautious. After a moment, Wayne thought of another person. Detective Mona. Mona joined Wayne Detective Agency through Kerr's introduction. Her motives are unknown, and she may also come from the Heavenly Father Church. Wesley's pet missing commission has not been followed up. If the commission is handed over to Mona, and Mona happens to find the underground ancient city, and then reports the matter to the superiors of the church, it can be done, but we need to test it to see if she is really from the Heavenly Father Church. Wayne pondered for a moment, felt that there was a way, raised his hand to open the drawer, and placed a few treasures in front of him. The Bible, the death gloves, the dark ring, all of these can come in handy. By the way, there is this. Wayne's eyes flashed blood, and he waved his hand to pull open the blood crystal sword. The devil's followers followed the nuns of the Heavenly Father Church and imprisoned them in the sewers, using all means to corrupt them. The motive is reasonable. This is how it is filmed in the movies. It can be done. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 122. Daybreak. Wingdings, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. Chris enjoyed the breakfast prepared by the maid and got on the luxury black car to return to the college. Sitting in the back seat, she patted her unpromising belly. Recently, there has been a rumor in the college that a senior schoolmate is being kept by a rich man. The general news is that the senior schoolmate goes out late and comes back early, is picked up by a luxury car, and the butler wearing white gloves is polite and polite. At first glance, she is from a powerful family in the upper class. Chris happily ate the melon, and then she couldn't laugh anymore. The female college student who was kept was actually me. The gossip in the school became more and more intense, and many instructors believed it. Chris was speechless and couldn't convince anyone after explaining for several days. Chris, I go out every night to give a lecture to a friend. The crowd, I understand, You don't need to explain. The truth is sometimes not important, the key lies in the explosive point. The beautiful senior sister became the lover of a fat and rich man, which is far more topical than the senior sister and the noble young master who are in love. Chris repeatedly explained that Wayne is not fat, but no one believed it. Last night when she was teaching Wayne, she suggested that she could take the car by herself instead of picking him up every day. The gossip in the school is too shameful. The confession is also a confession. Chris is unwilling to mention it. She hesitates and expresses it very vaguely. In this case, how could Wayne agree? The reason is also simple. Chris teaches him for free, and he has to pay for the round trip. If it gets out, how can Wayne stand firm in society? Chris has no choice but to suffer the grievance. In addition, the snacks in Wayne's house are really delicious. Every time she sees the food prepared by the maid, she can't bear to refuse. Then there is. Chris looked at the crowd of people getting up early outside the car window, some riding bicycles, some catching the subway, and then looked at herself sitting in the back seat of the luxury car, feeling a kind of decadence caused by habit. Bad habit, I have to find a way to reject it. Commercial Street, Wayne Detective Agency. Wayne came early in the morning and did not meet Mona in the office. Detective is a very free profession. He runs outside almost every day. It is normal not to see people for half a month. He put on white gloves, walked into the file room, and took out Mona's employment report from the employee file. There were detailed information about Mona, including height, age, education, resume, phone number and home address. Single, living alone. The plot is getting more and more interesting. Wayne wrote down the home address, put it back in the file, and put the white gloves in his coat pocket. In the afternoon, he drove to Landau Manor and accepted HEP's test for the 4th consecutive day. After the test, there was also a part where Veronica took the initiative to give benefits. The dragon-blooded girl's desire to win was too strong. She knew that Wayne's motives were not pure, but she still insisted on suppressing him. Wayne enjoyed the test session very much. There were really many benefits. No, he enjoyed the teacher's test session. In order to better stimulate potential, Sci-fi almost never fought back when facing students. She only threw a punch at the end to symbolically regain some face. Wayne's speed and strength were growing every day, and gradually, he had surpassed Veronica. Of course, this was when Veronica did not transform. Dragon blood involves life transformation. Sci-fi and Veronica have evolved to varying degrees, and can strengthen physical strength and defense through transformation. Veronica is slightly weaker. Wayne can wrestle with her without losing, but Sci-fi really can't hit her. A punch is no different from hitting a steel plate. Half an hour later, Sci-fi knocked Wayne down with a punch, watched the student rolling on the ground, and sent a look to Veronica. Your mother has trained you, so you can use it right away. Veronica didn't understand, and thought it was her turn to play, so she rushed forward with her fists clenched. Healy pressed Veronica's head, pressed her shoulders and turned half a circle, and gently pushed her from behind, letting her go back to where she came from. This child, supposedly has such good genes, why didn't she inherit her parents' shrewd minds? Healy complained in a low voice, suspecting that Austin had cheated, otherwise his daughter wouldn't be so innocent. She asked Megan to get the blood drawing tools, and explained that the student's blood should be tested. This link is indispensable, and only after the test is clear can targeted training be carried out. Wayne nodded, it's just a tube of blood, just draw it. Others don't know, and always look at him with imaginary colored eyes, suspecting that he has extraordinary blood. He himself knows very well that as a pure human, the essence of life depends entirely on the book of greed, and no results can be measured. Megan put a pressure belt on Wayne, disinfected it, and collected blood with a syringe. Wayne looked at the syringe in surprise. His skin was very thick and tough, but it was so easy to break his skin. Could the needle on the syringe be a magic weapon? After the blood was collected, Megan pressed a cotton swab on Wayne's arm, injected the blood into the glass tube, and sealed it in a suitcase. The test report will not come out for a while. Before that, you continue to tap your potential. Don't rush to enter the practice stage of the Silver Cross. I will teach you personally when you have tapped all your potential, Sci-fi said seriously. At that time, she will tailor courses for students based on the report and teach combat skills and faith magic according to the students' specialties. After saying this, Sci-fi hurried away with her suitcase. Wayne saw Veronica eager to try, looking impatient, threw away the cotton swab and hooked his finger at her. Let me be frank, this is a ring, it's normal to be hit by some parts, you can fight back, but you can't use words to attack me personally. Veronica sneered and patted her chest wrapped tightly with cloth strips. She was not a fool, how could she let the pervert take advantage every time? 2 minutes later, Veronica covered her buttocks, gritted her teeth and looked at the social garbage, and couldn't help but spit out foul language to attack her personally. She was well educated, and the foul language she spit out was all derogatory words such as pervert, bastard, and shameless. Her vocabulary was too limited, and Wayne was a little excited when he heard it. If you have time to curse, why not attack me quickly? Time waits for no one. Chris has to teach me tonight. Shameless, your hexagram has already been formed, what else is there to learn in the basic course? Speaking of this, Veronica, I get angry. Social scum cheats people everywhere, and even the gentle and kind senior sister is not spared. Can't you consolidate it? When Wayne faced Veronica, who had read the diary, he rarely concealed his nature. I just like to study, and studying makes me happy. Do you like to study? Bah, I blush for you. Just wait, I will go to your house for dinner tonight, and then tell the senior sister that she was cheated by you. This won't do. Wayne raised his eyebrows. It's up to you, but you have to beat me. If you can't beat me, you say bad things about me behind my back, I won't agree. I'll beat you today. Megan. Miss, calm down. What's the difference between you and the lady who is played around by social scum? Bang. Veronica stepped on the ground and came to Wayne in an instant, grabbed his collar and shoulders, turned sideways and threw him over her shoulder. Hiss. She didn't fall out, but she pulled Wayne's shirt off. Good angle. Looking at Veronica with her back to him, Wayne put his fingers together like a sword and stabbed her under the ribs. Veronica took a breath of cold air, jumped 3 meters away, turned her head and glared at the social trash. In a hurry, she didn't care that the other party was not wearing clothes, and started fighting in close combat. Humph. Ha. Megan. It's okay, the young master is very restrained to wear pants. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Veronica, who had taken a shower and changed her clothes, sat in the passenger seat depressed. She didn't lose, but she didn't win either. With her pride, she wouldn't tell Chris if she didn't win. When I thought that the senior sister would be led into the study room by the social trash every night, and the two would be alone for an hour and a half of tutoring, my heart ached. Although it was really a tutoring session, Veronica couldn't help but let her imagination run wild. Wayne broke off the lily, and the fly rubbed his hands with a bad look on his face. His black leather shoe stepped on the lily and trampled it back and forth. You are not allowed to bully the senior sister. She is a good person. Don't make trouble, as if I have bullied you. Humph. Ha. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the tutoring session ended. At this time, Veronica had left. The stockings quality inspector asked for help from 2 smart reducers and successfully refreshed the shame limit. It's worthy of being Willie. I really can't do without you. I will put on a maid outfit for you in a while. The streets of London were foggy. Wayne poked his head out of the sewer and came to Mona's house with the help of the fog and the shadows of the buildings. In order to prevent being recognized by female employees and damaging the boss's reputation, he disguised himself in the sewer. He raised his cheekbones, drew thick eyebrows, wore a hood that only exposed his eyes, and added a black dome hat. Not enough. The other party is a detective, and any negligence in any minor link may expose himself. Out of caution, Wayne not only disguised himself, but also changed his physical features through the essence of life. The swelling muscles also changed his body shape to a certain extent. Without merging with the Book of Greed, this is the limit of what Wayne can do. If he adds something else, he can only put on stockings. In front of the door, Wayne took out 2 paper clips and opened the door easily. Mona lives alone in a 2.5-story villa, which is very similar to Wayne's previous detective agency. He closed his eyes and sniffed. The smell in the air was very light, and the target was not at home. You are not home so late. You don't look short of money. You shouldn't work part-time outside. Wayne searched around. There was no secret door in the basement utility room. He found a pistol in the secret compartment of the bedside table. He took the pistol and returned to the living room on the first floor. He leaned on the sofa and fell into a shadow. About an hour later, the car stopped on the side of the road of the villa, and 2 voices came into Wayne's ears. "Nancy, it's late, stay at my house tonight." "I don't mind, but won't your boyfriend have any objections?" "Don't be silly, I'm a devout believer with faith, I won't look for a boyfriend." Mona and her friend left the theater and returned home. The moment she took out the key and inserted it into the lock, the smile on her face suddenly froze. She smiled slightly, turned around and pulled her friend, "There are still things in the car that I haven't taken, help me move them. It's so troublesome, I lost things." The 2 chatted and laughed and returned to the car, started the car, stepped on the accelerator and drove away. Wayne, winky face, what can I say? Fortunately Santiago Chuan is not so smart, otherwise he would have stepped into the water long ago. Run, I want to see where you can run to. If it's the church, I don't even need to try. Wayne narrowed his eyes slightly and contacted Aubin to follow him in the mist, while he got into the sewer. The car drove out of the west end of London and entered the empty streets of the south end. There are few vehicles in the area, the moon is dark and gloomy, and the street lights flicker on and off. There is no need for a set, just actors and actresses can make a horror movie. How about it, let it go. In the passenger seat, Nancy whispered, "Who do you think he is, a cultist, a killer, or the gangster you offended while investigating the case?" "It's hard to tell. The other party is very dangerous. I don't want to fight him at home." Mona's face was solemn, "I hope I can follow you. There is no one nearby. It would be best to catch him alive here." "Unlucky guy, he will be miserable tonight." Nancy played with the cross in her hand, hoping that the mysterious man would not be thrown away. "Be careful, the other party may have a gun." Mona took off her glasses and wiped them, then put them back on and said, "It was for me. I'm sorry for getting you involved tonight." "It doesn't matter. If you are a cultist and I have half the credit, I should be the one who took advantage of you." Nancy narrowed her eyes with a smile. While the 2 were talking, Mona had turned off the car. As the car lights were turned off, only the street lights were flickering on the dead street. "The fog is getting thicker. No, there's something wrong with this fog." 5 minutes later, looking out the window where she could not see her hands, Mona started the car and was about to leave. The car, which had been fine just now, suddenly failed to start. She tried several times and failed to start. Without hesitation, she abandoned the car with her friends and left as quickly as possible away from the dense fog area. The sound of high-heeled shoes was clear and loud in the foggy night, making her heart beat faster. Mona was upset and kicked the shoes away decisively. She soon realized that her upset had nothing to do with the sound of high heels. It seemed that some kind of spiritual magic suggested fear and pressure, exerting constant pressure through the surrounding environment, making her heart beat faster and faster. Careless. The enemy is not that simple and should not lead the opponent here. Just as Mona was thinking about it, Nancy stopped next to her and clutched her chest. Her face turned pale and she said, "I can't run anymore. If I run any longer, my heart will beat out." "She's right, if you keep running, your heart will explode." Wayne came under the streetlight with a hoarse voice, his faint eyes blooming with bloody red light. "A good sacrifice, it's worth the time I spent investigating you." "Who are you?" Mona protected her friend behind her and looked intently at the mysterious person's face. It was so tightly covered and she had been investigating her for many days, so she must have met him during this period. "Who is it? What, do I look like a good person with this look?" Wayne took out a pistol and pointed it at Mona. "Please, the dialogue has some depth, even if it is a cliché, you have to use your brain." After the words fell, Nancy, who was hiding behind Mona, completed the magic. She raised her 5 fingers and the holy light fell on the circular barrier, drawing the ground as a prison to trap Wayne in it. If he didn't miss, he would have been hit by her. Wayne easily dodged the sneak attack, raised his fingers, and the mist storm suddenly pressed down. The wind was fast, seriously disturbing Mona's sight, and she had to use holy light magic to resist. She has a mission, and according to regulations, she cannot reveal her beliefs during the mission. Now that she has been exposed, she cannot let the enemy leave. The wind was so strong that the fog seemed to come alive. Mona heard the movement beside her, there was an explosion in the air, and her long legs wrapped in stockings kicked out violently. The leg is good, but it's a pity that the kick was empty. Mona was frightened when she heard the voice coming from behind her. The other person could come and go freely in the fog, which was obviously not in line with common sense. When she turned around, she saw Nancy with a "I tried my best" look on her face, and a mysterious man with a gun pointed at Nancy's head. "Let her go and I'll go with you." "That's okay, I'm just checking your beliefs." Wayne smiled solemnly, threw out a silver bracelet, and acted as the villain and read the lines according to the script. "Put it on, with your hands behind your back, and don't make any small moves, otherwise your friend's head will explode." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 123. Mona picked up the handcuffs on the ground and put her hands behind her back and buckled them. For a detective of her level, the silver bracelet was really just a decorative bracelet. Even without magic, she had several ways to get out of trouble in an instant. It was not difficult for her at all. Wayne did not expect to use handcuffs to restrict the actions of a magician. That was too stupid. Magicians use their minds to shape magic to change reality, not their hands. Only by controlling the other party's mind can a magician's ability to act be sealed. "I've put on the handcuffs. Let go of my companions. I'll be your hostage," Mona said calmly. "Of course, my initial target was you," Wayne said ambiguously. The moment he let go of Nancy, the hand holding the gun slammed the other party's neck, and the other hand raised, condensing a blood-colored crystal dagger. 3 blood-colored flying knives flew out in the shape of a finished product, directly hitting Mona's position. At the same time, Wayne withdrew without looking back, and ran straight to the nearest sewer entrance under the cover of fog. Mona stretched her long legs and jumped into the air. When she landed, she not only avoided the flying knife, but also successfully unlocked the handcuffs. She quickly stepped forward and helped the unconscious Nancy up, and her 5 fingers spread out holy light and pressed against her forehead. "I hope she is okay." After a simple check, she breathed a sigh of relief. She was okay and there was nothing else in her body. Nancy woke up in a daze and said in panic, "Blood magic, he is a believer of the devil." "I know." Mona looked at the direction of the fog, and the fog surged like a tide. "There has always been a belief in the blood of hell in London City, but this is the first time I have seen a believer who directly casts blood magic. The devil's minions are preparing for a sacrifice ceremony. I will chase him to see. You quickly contact your superiors and say that you can't let him run away. Is this appropriate? His target seems to be you." Nancy was a little unsure, fearing that her friend would never come back. "That's better, isn't it? If his target is not me, there will definitely be other victims." While speaking, Mona has already rushed into the fog. Nancy stretched out her hand, but she didn't dare to follow after all. Facts have proved that she is a drag. Without her, Mona might have won just now. Wayne walked quickly through the sewer, and after turning several times, he ducked into a subway tunnel. Continue walking along the passage for 500 meters to reach the nearest platform. It was late at night, and this subway line did not provide night service. The tunnel and platform were dead silent, with only a few scattered lights flashing. Approaching the platform, Wayne was surprised to find that he had been cut off from the back. Mona stood alone in the middle of the platform, as if she had been waiting for him for a long time. Impossible. Wayne didn't believe that anyone could bypass him in the sewer. He suspected that he was under a magic-like mental illusion. He squinted his eyes and looked at Mona on the platform. Glasses, red lips, silk legs, high heels. Although the focus is not right, mature detectives are like this, knowing that details determine success or failure, and details determine the essence. Wayne quickly noticed the clue. If I remember correctly, Mona's high heels had been thrown off, and the Mona on the platform was still wearing her high heels. I just wanted to say that driving in high heels shows that your safety awareness is too low. Wayne whispered, raised his 5 fingers, and the crystal flying knife shot out and went straight to Mona on the platform. The latter moved strangely. Facing the flying knife directly at her face, she did not dodge sideways, but chose an extremely difficult move to dodge. Mona raised her arms and jumped into the air. Her legs were spread apart in the air to complete 90 degrees. Although she avoided the flying knife, the skirt that barely covered her knees was pushed directly above her thighs, which was clearly visible to Wayne. "How can you be like this? How shameful!" Wayne couldn't complain. He had already seen that the Mona in front of him was definitely not her real self. If he guessed correctly, it should be Mona's nighttime carrier owl. The use of carrier birds is varied. Magicians can use carrier birds to play many tricks, including the substitute magic of changing the owner's appearance. Only limited to appearance. Wayne didn't want to waste time on the stupid bird. His goal tonight had been achieved. The next plan was to lead Mona and the Heavenly Father Church behind her to the Thousand Eyes Demon through the commission of the missing pet dog. He waved his hand to roll up the storm and overturn the Mona who was making trouble in the air. Under the pressure of the violent wind, the cat collapsed at the touch and turned back to its original appearance before landing. Coo coo coo. The owl was still flapping in the air, and Wayne had already rushed out 100 meters away. Suddenly, his supervision caught the flashing light and shadow in front of him. He stopped with a sudden break and threw 3 bloody flying knives. The flying knife hit the air and bounced off, creating a white curtain. The ripples dissipated, and a wall with angels and holy texts blocked the way ahead. "I found you." Mona stood breathlessly on the other side of the tunnel. At her command, the owl flew out of the platform and disappeared into the night. Wayne looked at the other party without saying a word. He had a headache for a while. He just wanted to test it tonight. He never expected that Mona would not give up and chase after him without fear of the risk of righteousness. "You righteous people, who only know how to give heads all day long, can't you learn from the cunning and suspicious devil?" Wayne raised his middle finger to Mona, clenched his 5 fingers into a fist, and the fist tip was wrapped with a red crystal blade, and he blasted straight at the holy text wall behind him. Boom! The terrifying power erupted instantly, and with the help of his flesh and blood, he reached the level of magic destructive power. With a loud bang, the solid wall of the holy text was shattered into pieces, and the entire wall was directly dispersed. Seeing that the mysterious man was only concerned with escaping and had no intention of fighting, Mona became even more courageous. She reached out and pulled out a silver cross necklace from the warehouse in front of her chest, muttering something in her mouth, and the clothes on her body aroused holy light. Wayne was curious about what magic the other party would use, and couldn't help wanting to stay and see it clearly. However, the owl had already gone far away, and the large group of people from the Holy See would arrive at any time. Now it was hard to say who was full of righteousness if he stayed. Wayne turned around and left, turning like the wind, so fast that he left a residual image. Mona did not chase him immediately, muttering something in her mouth, with a sacred and solemn face. When the light dissipated, the casual clothes on her body disappeared, replaced by a white robe with gold-edged patterns on the cuffs and collar, and a cross-shaped magic circle on the back. The robe is fitted at the waist, light and fitted, without any cumbersome design. While maintaining a sense of sacredness, it also ensures that the user can fight more calmly. But Mona has a great figure, with a convex front and a curved back, a thin waist and long legs. She wears this dress, which has a taste of uniform temptation. It is confirmed that the XP system of the leadership circle of the Holy See is normal, and only a small number of them are infected with the little boy virus. After changing clothes, Mona opened her eyes, and in her cold silver eyes, the dark subway tunnel gradually became transparent, and the high-speed moving black shadow gradually moved away. She touched the ground with her toes, and the cross pattern on the back of the robe lit up with a halo. The whole person seemed to have no weight, and she stepped 10 meters away with one step. In the tunnel, the black shadow passed by quickly, and the light and shadow were getting closer and closer. Wayne turned and rushed into the sewer, came to his most familiar home field, and found that he could not get rid of the pursuers, so he stopped and prepared to fight. This time he was careless, and the plan was made for granted, and he underestimated Mona's strength. "I won't do it next time." He waved his hand to roll up the storm, inject a ray of fire, and set off a roaring vortex of flames in the flood control channel. Mona faced the blazing sea of fire, her expression as cold and indifferent as her silver eyes, and her white robe was faintly shining with holy light, shielding the high temperature and heat of the flames. The moment she rushed out of the wall of fire, a fist was getting bigger and bigger in front of her eyes. She raised her hands to block the front of the fist, but she was unable to resist the pressure of the fist and flew backwards like an arrow. At this moment, a blurred afterimage followed closely, and the 5 fingers stabbed at Mona's chest ejected a red blade, and the 5 crystal steel claws cut through the scarlet beam, tearing the white cloth into pieces with a hiss. The light and shadow blurred, and Mona, whose chest was torn into pieces, turned into a shadow and disappeared. When she teleported again, she came behind Wayne as if teleporting, and raised a burning white sword with both hands, slashing down at Wayne's arm. Wayne seemed to have eyes behind him and saw through the scene in advance. He turned around with his toes on the ground and rushed forward with both hands holding the blood-colored crystal sword. There was a loud bang. The blood-colored sword shattered, but was defeated by the holy light that restrained the evil spirits of hell. Because of Mona's lack of strength, although she broke the opponent's weapon, she was violently overturned and failed to seize the opportunity to lock the advantage. In mid-air, her figure disappeared, and she rushed out from Wayne's side with a long sword in hand. Unlike Valkyrie's teleportation into light particles, Mona's magic is like a mirror flower phantom, a deflected light that affects the opponent's vision, thereby achieving her own invisible and stealthy combat skills. Many magicians of the Heavenly Father Church can do this, and Kerr has also used this trick to confuse the disciples of blood. Simple and effective, with extremely high practical value. Wayne shrugged his nose. Light and shadow can only interfere with vision, but cannot deceive his nose. In his eyes, Mona is simply fighting wits and courage with the air. Boom! The blood-red sword shattered again, and Wayne overturned Mona, stepped forward, and gave full play to his advantage of speed and strength, punching the opponent in the face, pressing the opponent against the tunnel wall, and punching the chest and abdomen continuously. The magicians of the Heavenly Father Church have extremely strong endurance, and their thoughts attract the holy light. During the battle, they consume mana to replenish blood. As long as they are not killed in one blow, they can quickly recover their ability to move. As a member of the tactical team of the Heavenly Father Church, Mona, wearing a special combat uniform, has brought the characteristics of the immortal cockroach to the extreme. Facing Wayne's crazy output, she still has the energy to cast magic with her mind. A strong light burst out, and a holy spear shot through and rushed straight to Wayne's chest. This familiar move Wayne had been on guard for a long time. With the help of the blood-red crystal curtain deflection, he easily dodged the opponent's big move, pressed Mona's shoulder, and hit the opponent's face fiercely with a headbutt without leaving any room. The broken glasses scratched several bloody marks on Mona's face. As the burning white holy light flashed, the scars on her face were all healed, leaving only blood stains and no scars. But that was all. The sewer space was limited and the terrain was not suitable for her to perform. She was forced into a corner by Wayne and was beaten passively throughout the whole process. Her chest was swollen. Wayne pressed a punch on Mona's face, blood stains flowed out from the gaps between his fingers, and he twisted it back and forth with a grin. His smug smile could not hide his helplessness. He won the fight, but it was not easy to end it. He couldn't really take the other party back to the basement and lock him up. It wouldn't work to leave him there. Not to mention that there was no one around, the other party had fainted. If there was a pervert, it would be better to take him back to the basement and lock him up. Besides, how could a villain just walk away after winning the fight, especially when he pretended to be the devil's minions and the other party was a pure nun of the Heavenly Father Church? Difficult. It's just a joke. I don't intend to kill anyone. Just when Wayne had a headache, Mona suddenly stretched out her hands and clamped the fists that were rubbing against her face. Got you. The cold sound dispersed, and the magnificent magic circle spread out in the sewer. Due to the terrain restrictions, Wayne could only see part of the holy light magic circle. A powerful light rose into the sky, defeating the blood magic power in his body, stripping away all the elements of blood faith in one breath. Wayne looked at the Book of Greed in horror, glanced at each other, and confirmed that the blood was still there, then he looked up to the sky and screamed in pain. "Ah! Stop it, it hurts." Mona was inspired to destroy the devil's minions in front of her at all costs. If possible, she would of course want to leave one alive and bring him back to the Holy See for torture and questioning about the location of the sacrifice ceremony, so as to completely crush the blood believers' conspiracy. Unfortunately, the situation was tragic, and all she could do was kill the opponent. The holy light array lasted for 10 seconds. The holy light penetrated into Wayne's body, and a small part was intercepted by the Book of Greed. The rest did not stay in Wayne's body for a long time. The highly targeted holy light found no trace of hell in Wayne's body, and judged him to be an innocent person passing by, so there was no continuous attack. Mona didn't know this. Although she was resurrected with full health in the holy light, the ultimate move drained her of magic power, leaving her with little thinking and unable to continue the high-intensity battle. Seeing that Wayne was staggering but unable to fall, he stepped sideways and kicked his legs straight towards Wayne's face. She had no shoes on, and the bottom of her robe was empty. The long legs were wrapped in black silk and were frayed and cracked in many places. This character is full of energy. Wayne received a kick in the front and flew backwards, hitting the wall behind him. He staggered to his feet, walked down the slope, and said with difficulty, You are very strong. It seems that it will be difficult to take you away today. But it doesn't matter, the great God guides you. I have no choice but to move forward. Let you be arrogant for a few days, and one day you will fall into my hands. Dream. Mona snorted disdainfully, her white robe lit up with a halo of light. She rushed in front of Wayne, and fought hand to hand with endless killing moves. Wayne took several punches but never fell down. He raised his hand to block and held the black silk whip leg. Not bad. If you want it to be charming and seductive, and if you want the mood to be seductive, let Willie and Chris replace the battle-damaged sample another day. He clasped Mona's ankles with his backhand, shouted angrily, and rounded his arms to pin her against the wall. Fight and run. After 2 steps, Wayne stopped. In both directions, passages that seemed to be portals opened, and figures walked out of them. Mona was overjoyed, thinking that reinforcements from the Holy See were coming, but soon, when she saw the appearance of the comers, her heart sank to the bottom. Enemy reinforcements are coming. Jajaja. Figures in black robes blocked the front and back, and the leading man laughed loudly. I can't believe that there is still a belief in blood in London. You boy, do you want to join us and serve the devil together? Wayne. What devil? Whose subordinate are you? Thousand-eyed demon? Wayne never expected that by chance, he and Mona would wander into the sewers and come to the lair of thousand-eyed demon's followers. Boy, my eldest brother is asking you something. Are you deaf? A group of men in black robes yelled loudly, taking advantage of the large number of people to bully the small number. Several perverts set their sights on Mona. The butt is in good shape, it's a high-quality stock. The female magician of Heavenly Father's Holy See made us suffer a lot in the beginning, and she will suffer a lot today. Ha ha ha, it's so difficult. I only have sweetness. The women are yours, but I take the men. Bang. A gunshot interrupted the smug and dirty talk. Wayne held the pistol and pointed it upward, and said coldly, shut your mouths, this is my prey, and I have no interest in sharing it with others. Ha ha, you have quite a temper. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 124. With the sound of a gunshot, the atmosphere in the venue suddenly became solemn. The leading man smiled slightly and said without any panic, we are all believers in hell. Even if our beliefs are different, our enemies are the same. The enemies of our enemies are our friends. Don't point your gun at your friends. Which demon god are you believers? With all due respect, there are too many evil magicians pretending to believe in hell. Why should I believe that you didn't lie to me? Wayne did not put down his pistol, but pointed the muzzle at the ground. Seeing this scene, the men in black robes became even more arrogant. They touched their waistbands to show Wayne some color. A bunch of losers who know how to think with their heads all day long. The leading man snorted coldly. As the leader, no one dared to challenge his position, and the clamor in the field suddenly stopped. Mona sat down against the corner, breathing heavily, looking around, and closed her eyes in despair. It's over. My name is Jeriv. I can't tell you which god I believe in right now. I can only explain one thing. You can figure out the rest for yourself. The leading man introduced himself and said, I can see that if you can use blood magic, you must be the disciple of the Blood Lord in the human world. My master and the Blood Lord are allies, and we are also allies. Is it true? There is such a thing as an alliance with the devil? What are you trying to do, for the betterment of betrayal? Wayne couldn't figure it out, so he took advantage of the situation and said, it can be seen that all of you are definitely not members of the Heavenly Father's Holy See. In this case, I will believe you for once. After that, he quickly came to Mona, raised his gun and knocked her unconscious to the ground, then raised his mature figure and carried it on his shoulders. What, you don't want to talk about cooperation? Jeriv raised his hand to block the way and said softly, We are working on a big plan. If successful, it will be enough to defeat the power of Heavenly Father's Holy See in London. I have said so much, don't you think you can leave easily? Bar. You want to invite me to join? Wayne patted his butt, rubbed the fabric with his fingertips, and expressed the story of a tiger being bullied by a dog in a suppressed and angry tone. Yes, and you can't say no. After Jareth finished speaking, all the younger brothers burst into laughter. It wasn't just a bunch of demons, but it was definitely a bunch of ugly ones. You're right, I really don't have the ability to refuse you. Come on, we will provide you with a place to stay. Maybe my master will be interested in you. Wayne suppressed his anger and closed his eyes, wondering how the foolproof plan turned into this. He just wants to find out Mona's background tonight, confirm that she is from Heavenly Father's Holy See, and then throw away the heavy responsibility of protecting London. He has nothing to do, and has no psychological burden. He just waits to put on his vest and take advantage of others. What exactly went wrong was the reason why he risked his life and successfully broke into the den of crime. Also, trusting him just by looking at the blood magic without even checking it, the IQ of this group of people is too impressive. With this kind of stuff to conquer the world, it's a wonder if the thousand-eyed demon can achieve great things. Wayne had reason to suspect that these people were just cannon fodder. The black space door opened, and Wayne followed Jareth to an open space. The sky was gray, with no moon or stars visible, and no thick fog spreading everywhere. The clearing is located in a dilapidated and desolate ancient city. The architectural style is exactly the same as the ancient city that Wayne has seen before. However, he cannot sense Abo's aura, which means that this is another stronghold of the thousand-eyed demon. This devil knows the truth of the cunning rabbit's 3 burrows, and uses his caution to teach Wayne a hard lesson. In a corner of the ancient city, there are hundreds of auras, some strong and some weak, each with a different ugly appearance. All members are covered in black robes, and it looks like the villain's base camp. Still very downtrodden. Around the open space, many people gathered around 4 or 5 fires. Thick ingredients were tumbling in the iron pot. The chef, probably a manure picker, sprinkled the spices, inserted a large spoon, stirred, and tasted the saltiness. The sanitary environment is so poor. Wayne smelled the aroma of food that made him nauseous, and buried his head sideways on the soft fabric, using the scent of his big sister to dispel the nausea. A group of people led by Jareth come from different backgrounds. Jareth himself is a believer of the thousand-eyed demon. He has won over a group of younger brothers and received rewards from his master, making him the most powerful. Most of the others are famous black magicians on the wanted list, with varying levels of strength and various beliefs. Seeing the newcomer, who was still carrying a female monk from Heavenly Father's Holy See, the black magicians were ready to snatch the spellcasting materials from the newcomer's shoulders. As for physical spellcasting or other means, you can tell from their wolf-like eyes that most of them are going for the former. If you open a store here, business will definitely be booming. A bunch of trash. Wayne was close enough to hear Jareth's disdainful whispers. He agreed that being addicted to women was destined to be difficult to achieve success, and these people were destined to become cannon fodder. Wayne became more and more curious about the thousand-eyed demon's plan. Looking at Jerry's actions, he had to recruit enough people even if he was forced to rob him. Wasn't the thousand-eyed demon's plan short of cannon fodder? Didn't he have a lot of bugs? Suddenly, Wayne thought of something. The thousand-eyed demon seemed to be planning a new body. Well, if the true form of the thousand-eyed demon appears, he can directly put on the Death Knight vest and kill them all without worrying about being exposed. You can choose a room, but don't be too far away from the square. The rules here are that you can't kill each other, but you are allowed to gather together to rob. If you can't hold on, you can share your prey, Jareth reminded. I'm not in the habit of sharing. Wayne patted his butt and left. His arrogant attitude made a group of younger brothers particularly unhappy, and they surrounded Jarif with strange words. Understandable, everyone was eating coarse food, only Wayne was carrying a piece of fat meat. He was full and didn't let everyone get their hands on it. What's wrong with borrowing it for use? I'll return it to you after use, and it will be as good as new. Jarif listened to the complaints around him. His face was as gloomy as water without any change. Seeing the big brother's appearance, everyone dispersed and dared not complain anymore. Jarif snorted coldly and left through the space door. Today I recruited a newcomer with good strength, who uses blood magic and is one of the master's allies. It is necessary to report. On the other side, Wayne picked a clean shabby house, put Mona down, and sat cross-legged on the spot as if meditating. Around, several black shadows came quietly, with black robes covering their faces and sneaking around, casting greedy eyes through the broken walls. Wayne slowly opened his eyes, and magic burst out from his body. The short burst made the figures around him hesitate and dare not move forward. After comparing the strength of both sides, 3 figures suppressed their greed and left. The remaining 2 hesitated for a moment, looked at each other, and decided to test it. This kid fought a big battle and was hit by a holy light move head-on. Now he is just pretending. Let's go together. There is nothing to be afraid of. Try it and you will die. 8 blood-colored crystal flying knives shot out, and the rich blood light flashed and passed through the broken wall, hitting the 2 black-robed figures. The remaining force did not stop, piercing through the bodies of the 2, nailing to the huge rock behind, and cracking the spider web cracks. The fierce bloody smell spread, causing people in the distance to frown again and again. The rule of the stronghold is not to kill each other. Someone broke the rule. There will be a good show when Jarif comes back. Wayne waved his hand to kill the 2 black robes. No one came to cause trouble again, and it was finally quiet. He frowned and looked at Mona beside him. As far as her strength was concerned, those priests of the natural church who could only sit in the office were definitely not her opponents. She was a good knife no matter where she was placed. Why did she go undercover in the detective agency? Is there anything worth paying attention to about me? Wayne asked himself. There were too many things worth paying attention to. Instead of making random guesses, it would be better to pry open the other party's mouth. But not now. There are too many eyes around, and it is not suitable to feed mushrooms. Half an hour later, Jarif returned through the portal, bowed and followed behind a figure, with a very low posture. Thousand Eyes Demon. Seeing this figure, the black magicians in the field knelt on one knee, lowered their heads and dared not even breathe loudly. The Thousand Eyes Demon did not explain his true identity. The black magicians in the field were not qualified to know. He did not even make a move. He only let Jarif show his powerful strength to win over this group of minions. Thanks to the wanted order from the magic world, the black magicians are in urgent need of a backer, even if it is temporary, even if it is just a pie in the sky, as long as it can give them some breathing time. Jarif came to the room where Wayne was, and saw 2 bodies in a pool of blood, frowning. He had just finished talking about the rules, and Wayne killed 2 people, clearly slapping him in the face. This kid can't be kept. The Thousand Eyes Demon looked at Wayne intently, and said sinisterly, "You can use blood magic, which means that your master has high hopes for you, or you have another mission." The Thousand Eyes Demon can guess what the specific mission is with his toes. The devil's plan is varied, and various operations are constantly carried out, but in the end, it is nothing more than letting himself come to the world. The Thousand Eyes Demon was very angry. He was already planning to open the gate of hell to facilitate his allies to come to the world, but the allies had another plan to come, which clearly showed that they did not trust him. That's right, after all, they are devils, lacking the most basic trust between each other, and have other plans outside of the plan. He is no exception. The world is too big to accommodate too many demons. Thousand-Eyed Demon was not angry when he noticed the secret layout of his allies. On the contrary, he was very happy. Another unstable factor was eliminated. I don't know what you are talking about. Wayne looked at the Thousand-Eyed Demon coldly, frightened by the powerful aura revealed by the other party. Red blood rolled in his eyes, and he held the crystal sword tightly in one hand. Poor guy, you were deceived by your master. Let me guess what benefits he promised you: extraordinary abilities or transcendent status. Thousand-Eyed Demon sneered twice. Devils are best at bewitching people. You are just a tool that will be thrown away after use. He will not give you anything. Wayne did not speak. The pressure given to him by the Thousand-Eyed Demon in front of him was quite ordinary, far less powerful than the Great Cemetery last night. It's still a clone. Instead of working for the devil and risking your life for nothing, why not work for me? I can give you everything you want. As he spoke, red light flashed in the shadow covered by the black hood of the Thousand-Eyes Demon. The shadow was projected down, and thousands of eyes were watching Wayne from all directions. Wayne's hand holding the long sword trembled violently, and he subconsciously wanted to fight back. As a ray of strange energy poured into his body, the Book of Greed was ready to move, telling Wayne to wait. The president is driving people away, the big one is coming. Wayne's eyes were confused, and the red in his eyes dissipated, replaced by a fresh hell magic. This magic came from the Thousand-Eyes Demon, which was transformed and purified by the Book of Greed and re-injected into Wayne's body. After a brief moment of confusion, Wayne blinked, knelt on one knee, and said loyally, "My master, thank you for giving me a new life. Your believers hereby offer their absolute loyalty and hope to be of use to you." The Thousand-Eyes Demon nodded. He was sure that he had polluted Wayne's mind. This loyal dog would bite wherever he pointed and would never betray him. "Since you have a new life, don't use your previous name." The Thousand-Eyes Demon did not ask the lackey's previous name, and thought for a while. "From now on, your name is Bruce, understand? Wayne. Bruce, and Wayne. Bruce Wayne. Ah, is there anything wrong with this name? Can we make a deal and change it? James is a good name. This name is more popular in Windsor." "What's wrong? Didn't you understand?" "No, I heard it very clearly. I was so excited about the new life given by the master that I forgot to be grateful," Wayne explained hurriedly. "Bruce is Bruce. The undercover doesn't care about the name. It is more important to find the body of the Thousand-Eyes Demon." Beside him, Jarif looked bitter and resentful. His master had just recruited a younger brother and personally granted him abilities. He felt that part of his love had been taken away. The Thousand-Eyes Demon didn't care about Jarif's thoughts. It didn't matter if he knew. He waved his hand to open the portal, turned around and stepped into it. "Bruce, follow me. I have a task for you." "Follow your orders." Wayne carried Mona on his shoulders and quickly followed the Thousand-Eyes Demon. "Why bring this woman?" the Thousand-Eyes Demon said dissatisfiedly. "Dogs should just be obedient and should not have extra thoughts." Especially lust, which made the Thousand-Eyes Demon think of the one of the 7 demon kings, powerful, cruel, and evil, and at the same time made him obsessed and wished to die on the other's belly. It was a very bad memory, which crushed the self-esteem of the Thousand-Eyes Demon and made him a joke in hell. "She is a nun from the Heavenly Father Church. I have been entangled with her for a long time. It would be too easy for her to kill directly." Wayne's mouth curled up, pinched his thigh hard, and a ferocious look flashed in his eyes. "I want to let her know what hell is, strip her holiness and pride, destroy everything she has with my own hands, and wait until she is addicted to desire and completely degenerates before sending her to the Heavenly Father Church." Okay. This answer made the Thousand-Eyes Demon very happy. It was worthy of his polluted thinking. His evil thoughts were exactly the same as his. Worth encouraging. The Thousand Eyes demon put himself in Wayne's shoes. The female monk became the lust among the 7 demon kings. Not only did she lose her anger at the beginning, but she also taught Wayne many tricks to torture people. A door was pushed open in front of Wayne. He stood at the door and took a look. It was black and yellow and unbearable to look at. He criticized it from the bottom of his heart, drew a clear line and said that he would never step into it. Take another look. Really upper class. The Thousand Eyes demon said a lot, and Wayne took note of it all. After walking out of the portal, he saw another dilapidated and desolate ancient city in front of him. It can be seen that the Thousand Eyes demon divided a city into 3 parts, or even more, to carry out different plans. Bruce, find the hell faith lurking in London and wipe them all out. The Thousand Eyes demon handed the portal key in and out to Wayne for safekeeping, and handed over an alchemy book. I'll give you 1 month to gather 66 corpses, bring them here, and refine magical life according to the steps in the book. What does it mean, the devils killing each other? Wayne took the alchemy book and the key, and said nervously, my master, with my ability, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with powerful enemies. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid that I can't complete the task you assigned. The Thousand Eyes demon laughed loudly. Don't underestimate your master, feel your new life with your heart. I'm different from the humble blood demon, I'm very generous, and you can do anything now. Can you take away the other person's life essence? Yes. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 125. There are many ways to seize the essence of life, and the simplest method is alchemy. Once, Wayne drained the elemental space of the Lord of the Void, and the latter was ready to use alchemy to take back the 4 elements. The ability of the Thousand Eyes demon is very powerful. It can extract the thoughts, magic power, and life essence of others for its own use. This was confirmed by Wayne when he fought Sigma. Too outrageous. If this is true, wouldn't he be invincible in the world? Wayne sat cross-legged on the ground, crossed his arms in front of his chest and frowned in thought. The ability of the Thousand Eyes demon is outrageous, even more excessive than his cheating. The 7 demon kings of hell do not have the position of the Thousand Eyes demon. At most, they are middle class and cannot be regarded as the top demon kings of hell. This shows that the ability of the Thousand Eyes demon is strong, but there is an upper limit to the ability, and it cannot reach the level of doing whatever it wants. Of course, it is not ruled out that the abilities of the 7 demon kings are even more terrifying. Try it and you will know. Wayne looked around and stretched out his claws towards Mona. As soon as he touched her face, Mona jumped up on the spot, supported herself on the ground with one hand, and swept her leg horizontally, turning into a black line and attacking Wayne's neck. The speed was very fast and the power was not weak. Before he hit her, Wayne felt a gust of wind sweeping across his face. Snap! He raised his hand and grabbed her ankle, tightening his 5 fingers like a clamp. The pain spread throughout her body along the nerves, and Mona couldn't help but let out a light groan. Don't be shy, it's just a touch on your face. When you were asleep just now, I touched your whole body. Wayne took on the role of the villain steadily, and his lines came to his mind. It feels that his acting skills are getting better and better. I'll debut another day and become a big star. He stood up suddenly, stepped sideways, grabbed Mona's ankle, swung it and smashed it to the ground. The ancient city had been abandoned for many years, and the bricks and stones were weathered and fragile. Mona protected her with both hands in front of her, and the wind whistled in her ears. She had a close contact with the earth, and half of her body sank directly into it. Wayne grabbed Mona's ankle, pulled her out of the ruins, and threw her on the ground like garbage. Mona was panting and lying on the ground in an indecent posture. The last bit of strength in her body was drained, and she could only watch the enemy stretch out his claws towards her. Wayne squatted down, clasped Mona's face with 5 fingers, and saw the angry eyes between his fingers, and said sinisterly, "Don't be afraid, this is my first time, I will try not to hurt you." Wayne used his new ability to try to extract Mona's thinking, magic and life essence. Even in her heyday, her thinking and magic were far behind Wayne, not to mention now, her thinking and magic were almost gone. Wayne gained very little, and didn't squeeze out much oil and water. "This is so little, I don't even want it for free." Wayne tried several times, repeatedly extracting and injecting thinking and magic, and gradually became proficient in his new ability. The Thousand Eyes demon gave him limited abilities, and he could not easily seize and control his mind like Sigma, weakening it in all directions, so that it was extremely difficult for Wayne to control Mona's mind. Mona looked horrified, and when she realized that the enemy was trying to control her mind, she hurriedly said, "You are a disciple of the Blood Lord. If he knows that you have betrayed your faith, all that awaits you is destruction. Shut up, I'll pull out your tongue if you keep talking nonsense." Wayne repeatedly studied the new ability, and after becoming proficient, the evil hand reached out to the essence of life, that is, the four elements of earth, fire, water, and wind in Mona's body. He was not short of magic power, nor was he short of that dispensable thinking. He only wanted the essence of life. When the essence of life went up, thinking and magic power would naturally go up. External thinking and magic power are not as safe as their own after all. Perhaps the Thousand Eyes demon could not become a top demon king because of this. Success is due to ability, and failure is also due to ability. However, the magic power in Mona's body is not completely useless. After Wayne extracted it, the Book of Greed got a little holy light from the gap between its teeth. A mosquito leg is still a leg, and a little bit is better than nothing. The Book of Greed barely filled a gap between his teeth, and Wayne began to extract the essence of life. Half an hour later, he slowly moved his hand away. Mona's face was flushed like a disease, her eyes looked up at the sky, cold sweat soaked her white robe, and her beautiful curves were visible. If you don't know, you would think she was played badly. Wayne frowned at his hand. He drew it, but the efficiency was too poor. Not to mention, compared with the elemental space and the gray space, the efficiency of his own meditation alone far exceeded the ability given by the Thousand Eyes demon. What's going on? There is no effect at all. Wayne didn't understand, analyzed his own situation, and speculated on two possibilities. His hexagram was successfully shaped, and without practicing the silver cross star, he could not fill more four elements. The Thousand Eyes demon only regarded him as a disposable tool, and his positioning was far inferior to that of the servant Sigma. He gave him the ability but did not give too much. "You are so stingy. It's hard for me to help you with such a small amount of money." Wayne got the ability he had always dreamed of, but unfortunately, this ability was not as powerful as he imagined. It was almost the same whether he got it or not. Then he knelt in vain. This was not the first time Wayne had fought with the devil, but it was definitely the time he suffered the most. He could be patient for a while, but he became more and more angry the more he thought about it. He was so mean that he directly sentenced the Thousand Eyes demon to death. We can't let him die so easily. The ability must be left behind. Wayne raised his hand and touched his chin. It was difficult for the Thousand Eyes demon to give up his ability voluntarily. He had to further gain the other party's trust. Trust is secondary. The word trust does not exist in the devil's dictionary. Instead of gaining trust, it is better to show your own value and let the Thousand Eyes demon know that the plan cannot be successful without him. If you want to succeed, you must increase investment. Thinking of this, Wayne took out the alchemy book from his arms. The evil ritual from hell, stitching 666 corpses into magical life, because the corpses are related to the belief of hell. After the ritual is successful, the stitched corpse monster has the terrible ability to communicate between the human world and hell. Wayne remembered that the Thousand Eyes demon required 66 corpses, which was one less than the 6 in the alchemy book. After the ritual is successful, the effect will definitely be greatly reduced. What is that guy planning? Wayne was at a loss. He knew very little about hell and decided to ask for help from professionals. Mona. He looked at the nun of the church who was about to be broken by him, and pondered for a moment. Anyway, it was almost broken, so it would be better to be a little worse. Everything is for justice. Wayne helped Mona up, put his hands on her shoulders, pushed her new ability to the limit, and whispered, "Look into my eyes." When Mona was in a daze, she heard a murmur in her ear. She subconsciously looked over and saw a huge floating magic eye in the endless darkness. The magic eye was full of boundless desires, weird, mysterious, extremely evil, and had irresistible magic. Wayne connected his mind with Mona, pried open the other party's mental defense line in the simplest and crudest way, and then strengthened his ability to control people's hearts to the limit, trying to plant his voice in Mona's mind. Mona's resistance was extremely strong. With the idea of dying together, Wayne failed 8 times in a row, and finally completed the mind implantation on the 9th time. After the success, both of them fell to the ground. Mona was exhausted and could hardly move a finger. Wayne was not much better. He felt dizzy and felt his body was hollowed out. He said with difficulty, "I didn't expect that the first woman who lied to me 9 times was you. You have made such a great sacrifice. Don't let me down." Half an hour later, Mona woke up faintly, looked at the grey dome, and said hoarsely, "Devil, what did you do to me? I'll give you a chance to get a promotion and a raise. If you work hard, the Vatican will rely on you to transport intelligence. Watch your tone." "I am your master now," Wayne said coldly. "Dream on, I would rather die." The ability given by the Thousand Eyes demon is very ordinary, so even if Wayne tried his best, Mona still retained her will. However, Wayne's voice went straight into her soul, and her will could not dominate her actions. Whenever Wayne made a sound, her will would become a bystander, and her body would act according to orders like a puppet. Enough. Wayne thought it was not easy, and sneered, "You can commit suicide. I respect your choice and will not interfere. After all, without you, I have other candidates. The one called Nancy is good. Her will is not as strong as yours." Mona sat up suddenly, pounced on Wayne fiercely, and opened her mouth to bite his trachea. Wayne narrowed his eyes slightly, and Mona's strength was instantly drained. She lay on his shoulder and bit him twice. "It's disgusting." Mona rolled over to the side, with no bright future, and nothing to see except despair. "It's so bad." Wayne wiped the saliva from his neck in disgust. Veronica hadn't bitten it yet. Thinking that the lines didn't match the character setting, he changed his words and added, "It's good, but the position is wrong. Remember to bite somewhere else next time. Too much talk will lead to mistakes." Wayne stopped talking nonsense with Mona. "I order you as the master, not to commit suicide, and not to tell others about your current situation." Mona looked at Wayne hatefully, trying to see the ugly face under the mask. Wayne didn't care, he felt very good about himself. It was just a vest, he would throw it into the sewer after use. If Mona wanted to seek revenge, she could go to the Thame River to find out clearly. He continued, "I will give you a task, find out how many people are hidden in the Hell Faith in London, where do they live, and report to me when you have 66 of them." "Can't you find them yourself?" Mona was still stubborn. "Don't say that, change your perspective. I'm doing things for the Heavenly Father Church, and I will kill them all after I find them." Wayne threw out the alchemy book. "You are from the Heavenly Father Church, you should be able to understand this alchemy book, perform well, and your master will not treat you unfairly after the matter is completed." Mona picked up the alchemy book, and the more she read it, the more frightened she was, and trembling, "You want to open the gate of hell in London, it's impossible, I won't help you, even if I die." As she said that, she suddenly closed her eyes, and the white robe burst into white light. It was probably a suicide method like self-destruction. Because of the order implanted by Wayne in advance, the spell was directly interrupted, and she herself suffered a backlash from her thoughts, and her face was pale and bloodless. Mona knelt on the ground, gasping for breath. Wayne walked in a devilish pace, came to her unhurriedly, lifted her long hair, and gently stroked her face. "Remember that I am your master. Without you, I can still find someone else. Think about it, since a clergyman is destined to become a claw of the devil, why can't it be you? After all, you are so kind. Good people should become the devil's playthings." Mona stared at Wayne fiercely, vowing to make him pay the price. "Go, do a good job, I will give you freedom after the success, but if you fail..." Wayne blew a breath in her ear and told her a few tricks taught by the Thousand Eyes demon. "You don't want to become a slut and be thrown at the door of the church in a sacred robe, right?" Mona gritted her teeth, her body trembling with anger. "Tomorrow night, no, tonight at 11 o'clock, I will come to your house to find you and prepare the list. Remember, there is only one chance. If you don't do this job, there are many people who can do it." Wayne waved his hand, opened the portal and threw Mona out. He looked at the empty ancient city square and set up the alchemy array. 10 seconds later, he gave up. No other reason, no materials. Wayne's eyes widened. The devil's business was profitable without any capital, and he didn't take a penny. He actually let his little brother pay out of his pocket. What is the difference between this shameless act of making money out of nothing and the evil capitalists? Don't say it, it's true. At least the capitalists can get street lights, and the devil can't hang at all. Wayne complained fiercely. It was impossible for him to pay out of his pocket. It was just exploitation. Who can't do it? Let Mona prepare all the spellcasting materials tomorrow night. The cold moon was like ice, and the fog-shrouded streets were dark and hazy. Mona stumbled and clung to the wall, exhausted and very weak. She looked at the familiar street in confusion, not knowing what to do after arriving at the cathedral. She didn't even know whether she should go to the church. "Master." "Bah." She was gagged and could not tell the truth about her being controlled. Going to St. Paul's Cathedral at this time was tantamount to bringing the devil into it. At this moment, Mona's white robe shone, and the cross pattern on her back was faintly jumping. 10 minutes later, 4 Vatican magicians wearing the same clothes rushed to see the weak Mona and immediately treated her. The warm holy light penetrated into her body, and Mona's complexion improved a lot. "Nancy has explained the situation to us. The captain is waiting for you. The situation is serious. It's not time to rest now." Mona smiled bitterly and shook her head. She didn't mind working overtime, but she didn't know what to say when she saw the captain. Mona belongs to the tactical team of the Holy See, which is similar to the scalpel organization of the Church of Nature. It was originally a night group guarding St. Paul's Cathedral, with a total of 200 people, and each of them is a battle-hardened warrior. The Father Church was suppressed in Windsor, the night group was disbanded, and the elites were reorganized to form the current nameless tactical team. Captain Atlee is a powerful golden wizard, nominally the strongest combat force of the Holy See in Windsor, brave and resourceful, with outstanding military exploits, maintaining the last dignity of the Holy See. Mona knew that she knew nothing and would definitely not be able to hide it from the captain's eyes, so. Yes, as long as the captain noticed the clues, although I couldn't speak, I would have successfully conveyed the information. Mona showed joy on her face, quickly followed her teammates into the cathedral, and met Captain Atlee in an office. This is an old man with white hair and beard, broad shoulders and long arms, a strong physique, and a very majestic face that makes him full of oppression, and also brings Mona a strong sense of security. "Mona, I heard that you were ambushed by the Hell cultists, who used blood magic. Did you find out anything? Mona didn't speak, her eyes were closed, and she looked very struggling. She tried to convey information in this way, indicating that she had problems and was no longer trustworthy. Thanks to her father's favor, the devil didn't completely control her, otherwise she would really have no way out. Atli asked a few more questions, and seeing Mona struggling, he nodded gently and said gently, "Good child, you have worked hard, don't move here, I will ask the Archbishop, he has a way to make you speak. Don't worry, with us here, no one can hurt you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 126. Cathedral Quiet Room. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. The dome is a huge rose window, rendering the light and shadow colorful and mottled, making people feel like they are in a dream, and their thoughts are trapped in the illusion of weightlessness. There is a white cross as tall as a person hanging on the wall. The colorful light cannot fall on it. It is always pure white without a trace of extra color. Mona stood in the center of the quiet room, with the complex and mysterious holy light array at her feet. She was bathed in the light and felt that her soul was cleansed and the devil had left her. Atli found Archbishop Gunther, and the two stood outside the holy light array. Atli handed the Holy Grail filled with holy water to Mona and encouraged her with a smile. Archbishop Gunther looks middle-aged, with a fair face and no beard. In fact, his real age is older than Atli. As a golden mage, Atli participated in too many battles. When he was young, he didn't know how to restrain himself. He was not afraid of death and injury with the help of holy light magic. On the battlefield, when there were fewer enemies and more enemies, he was always angry and unparalleled. As I get older, the hidden wounds left over the years are aging faster. Although Wushuan can still drive, his hands and feet are far less agile than when he was young. He is currently considering switching to a civilian job. At the same time, Atli's violent temper has been reduced a lot. He seems to be majestic but is actually easy to talk to. Especially towards his subordinates, he is as caring as a loving father. On the contrary, Archbishop Gunther has clear principles and has transformed from a good old man in his youth to a cesspool now. Time is like a butcher's knife, killing civil servants with hard hearts and brave warriors on the battlefield with disgusting faces. Mona held the holy water in her mouth and looked at the two leaders respectfully. Archbishop Gunther nodded and activated the magic circle. The holy light dispersed like mist and turned into strips of white ribbons, wrapping around Mona's body, tightly wrapping her from head to toe. The cross on the wall casts light and shadow, just behind Mona. Mona relaxed and her thoughts were released. A white belt slowly unfolded to express her thoughts in the form of words and graphics. In order to avoid alerting the enemy and missing important information, Gunther did not dispel the parasitic thoughts in Mona's body immediately, and asked, "Who is the attacker, and who is the devil of faith?" A faceless portrait appeared on the belt, followed by a series of words, "He uses the magic of blood. He originally believed in the blood tyrant of hell, but during my pursuit, he encountered another powerful devil, his thoughts were tampered with by the other party, and his name was changed to Bruce, and his beliefs also changed accordingly. Wayne's knife was neither light nor heavy." Mona was unconscious at the time but not completely unconscious. She vaguely heard the thousand-eyed demon's voice. The clearest several times were when his hands touched her butt. Mona didn't mention the dirty tricks, and she considered herself unlucky. She told how Wayne was violently twisted by the thousand-eyed demon and became his pawn, forcing him to give up his original beliefs. "It's the thousand-eyed demon." Atli and Gunther looked at each other and saw their own guesses in each other's eyes. They had received information from Jianhe County that the thousand-eyed demon had successfully arrived and stolen many treasures from St. Dominic's Cathedral. such as the holy cloth. The enemy rose from the devil's disciples to the devil himself. Gunther looked solemn and continued to ask questions. The belt reveals all of Mona's words, and the inexpressible parts are directly illustrated. The devil is hiding underground in London, but the entrance is not in the sewers. It is one or more ancient and abandoned cities, and entry and exit need to go through the portal. The city projected by hell, the devil projects his territory into the human world. Atli murmured, his expression becoming solemn. The advent of the thousand-eyed demon was very successful, and the holy skeleton cloth was indispensable. The thousand-eyed demon's ability was brought into full play. Although it was far less terrifying than when he was in hell, it was definitely several times stronger than the state he would have been in when he normally descended. Mona continued, Bruce was controlled by the devil. The devil gave him a task, and he gave the task to me, asking me to find someone in London. I have seen the formation on the seventh forbidden technique. There are 666 corpses of cultists. After stitching, the entrance to hell will be born in the chest of the corpse demon. Bruce asked me to put together 66 lists. He planted two commands in my mind, not to commit suicide and not to reveal his existence to others. But you said it anyway. X2. Atli and Gunther looked at each other. The other didn't seem very smart. If it wasn't a problem with his IQ, he must have a misunderstanding of the Holy See's methods. His thinking is contaminated, and it's not surprising that he made such a low-level mistake. Atli said. Maybe. Gunther was non-committal, agreeing with Atli's inference, but not completely agreeing with it, and then asked, what else do you know about the devil? The devil has summoned a large number of black magicians to serve and gathered in the ancient underground city. One of the leaders named Jeriv said when he recruited Bruce that the devil was brewing a big conspiracy. Once successful, it would be enough to destroy the Holy See in London. All forces. Atli's eyes bloomed with golden light, and Gunther frowned again. Such detailed information, so detailed that he seemed to be at the scene. He knew everything as soon as the devil gave the order. Unreasonable and weird everywhere. Gunther speculates that, first of all, it is certain that the cultist named Bruce is a big problem. Mona was able to bring back the information alive, and Bruce took the greatest credit. It was very likely that he did it on purpose. Gunther would not be naive enough to believe in a cultist. Bruce's ability to use blood magic shows that the blood tyrant has made a big bet on him and is by no means as simple as an ordinary believer. There are only two possibilities for asking Mona to bring back information. One is that Bruce is not controlled by the Thousand Eyes demon, and he hopes to use the hands of the church to eradicate the Thousand Eyes demon. This operation is very devilish. The second possibility is that Bruce has been completely controlled by the Thousand Eyes demon, and it is the Thousand Eyes demon who instructed Mona to bring back the information. The devil has a more terrible plan, and the initiative to send out the information is to confuse the church to relax its vigilance. The second operation is also very devilish, but the loophole is too big. Gunther thought that he saw through it at a glance, and the devil didn't need to waste his efforts. Well, it is not ruled out that the devil saw through him and saw through the devil's thoughts, and did it deliberately. Archbishop, Bruce asked me to provide a list, and show up on time at 11 o'clock tonight. The location is the West District apartment where I live. Mona's words appeared on the belt, and after she finished speaking, the whole person was relieved. Tonight I will make you look good. Dare to touch my butt, then I will cut off your claws. X2. Atli and Gunther looked at the words that appeared on the belt, secretly thinking that the child suffered, and they would definitely give her an explanation at that time. Atli interrupted the embarrassment. Gunther, the information is enough, let her go, dispel the evil thoughts, she should not continue to suffer. No, the information is far from enough, such as the portal, the Thousand Eyes demon still has the initiative. Gunther shook his head. What do you mean? Atli's heart jumped, and he had a bad premonition. I need Mona to continue undercover. How is this possible? Atli's voice rose 8 degrees, and in order to take care of Mona's mood, he hurriedly lowered his voice and said, "You can see that she has made great sacrifices. If she continues to stay with the devil, she may not be able to retain her purity. Atli, he dared to touch her butt last night, and he dared to touch her chest tonight, and he will have a child the day after tomorrow. Can you find the portal? If we free her now, the clue will be cut off. Where can we find Bruce and stop the Thousand Eyes demon?" Gunther glared at Atli fiercely. Seeing that he was about to say something, he interrupted him directly. "No matter what the devil's plan is, the lightest is to destroy the power of the Holy See in London. What qualifications do you have to be soft-hearted? Wait until the day you become the Archbishop." Atli was choked and his face turned red and his neck became thick. He gasped and glared at Gunther, sending the father's child to the devil and expelling the devil in this way. What is the difference between us and the devil? The difference between one person and one city. Gunther gave the answer in his heart, but he didn't say it out loud. He looked at Atli and told his guess. "You suspect that Bruce was not controlled by the Thousand Eyes demon, and Mona was able to come back with information on purpose." Atli was very surprised. He calmed down and thought about it. There was indeed a possibility. However, these are all speculations and assumptions. Without evidence, they are untenable. Mona heard the two people's low-voice conversation. The body wrapped in white cloth was silent for a moment, and a line of words slowly appeared on the belt. "Archbishop, Captain, I am willing to continue undercover, even if I sacrifice myself. I am not afraid. The devil is right. Since there is always someone who has to sacrifice, why can't it be her? If many people will lose their lives, why can't she be the only one who loses everything?" Seeing Mona's enlightenment, Atli was both relieved and angry, glaring at Gunther beside him. This old guy must have done it on purpose. He could have pulled him out of the house and explained it clearly. Gunther did it on purpose. He sighed, "Mona, you are an excellent clergyman, your faith is beyond doubt. Don't worry, I won't let your purity be tainted with sin." Gunther controlled the holy light array to separate and seal the evil thoughts in Mona's body. The seal was perfect, ensuring that Mona could hear the devil's whispers, but would not let the other party manipulate her. At the same time, because it was just a seal instead of exorcism, Bruce would not realize that Mona had lost control. Gunther narrowed his eyes slightly. In this way, not only can Mona retain her independent will during her undercover period, but she can also test whether Bruce is controlled by the Thousand Eyes demon. This is crucial. The seal was completed, the white bands dissipated, and Mona stood there with a normal expression, not feeling depressed or desperate about the upcoming tragic fate. "The spirit of sacrifice, if it were you, it would be great," Gunther murmured, and then asked, "Is there any situation at the detective agency? How is the investigation going? Wayne is very wary of me. I can hardly find time to be alone with him." Mona was helpless. Compared with the youthful female college students around her boss, she is already an old woman. "It doesn't matter. When this matter is over, I will send a commission to the detective agency. You will definitely find out something if you follow him," Gunther said, looked at Mona deeply, and said meaningfully, "Your spirit of sacrifice is worthy of encouragement, but the Vatican has not yet reached the time for you young people to sacrifice. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I will prepare the list and give it to Bruce tonight. Pay attention. He trusts you now. Get more information." "Can you get more information?" Mona was surprised and nodded to show that she understood. "In addition." "Why is there a list? Why is there a list? Do you know which cultists are hidden in London?" Atli said unhappily. Gunther had another independent intelligence system hidden from him. "I know a little, but not much." Gunther said in passing that he did have an independent intelligence system. which was related to the Windsor royal family, or more accurately, the Free Mage Alliance. The Free Mage Alliance believes in everything and accepts everyone, including the belief in hell. Gunther once cooperated with the Free Mage Alliance to eradicate some of the beliefs, leaving some small characters that were not presentable for fishing. Fighting against the advent of the devil is like defending a city. The devil can fail 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, as long as it succeeds once, it will be considered a complete success. On the contrary, the church cannot afford to lose even once. Gunther has been the archbishop for many years, and his character is becoming more and more mature. He will not be as paranoid as Atli. In order to defend the city, he does not mind using some small tricks. Things have priorities, and he knows what he should do and when, even if it is to cooperate with Bruce. This is his principle as an archbishop. It was night. 11 o'clock in the evening. Wayne got out of the sewer and arrived at Mona's house as scheduled. Before coming, he asked Abin to wait for 3 hours to confirm that Mona returned home alone and there was no ambush around. This is good news for Wayne, but also bad news. He tried so hard to flirt with her, but no one from the Vatican took it. No wonder you have fallen. Your thinking is rigid. You deserve to be suppressed. Wayne pried open the door and unlocked it. He opened the door of the villa with 2 paper clips. Seeing Mona sitting upright on the sofa, he smiled coldly and said, "You knew I was coming but you didn't open the door. Do you want a reward?" Mona was gloomy and unwilling to answer. Wayne pouted, a little unhappy, and tried to say, "It's summer now. You wear long clothes and long pants. Why wear so many clothes? Take them off. It's an eyesore." Mona's eyes widened with anger. She sensed the voice from the sealed mind and reluctantly untied her long clothes and long pants. "The underwear is so white?" Wayne raised his eyebrows and became even more disappointed. If he was right, he would not get the list he wanted. He glared at Mona unhappily. "You look so glamorous, but your underwear taste is so bad, so ugly. Go, put on your stockings." Mona changed her stockings without saying a word, looking at the unguarded Wayne, wishing she could stab him to death with a sword. Unfortunately, she couldn't. An undercover agent should have the awareness of an undercover agent, and she was mentally prepared to sacrifice everything. "Did you bring what I want?" Wayne said casually. "I brought it." Mona took out a file bag from the drawer of the living room and put it in Wayne's hand, who opened it and frowned to check it. "No more, no less, exactly 66. This." Wayne took a deep breath in his heart and stared at Mona in front of him. "What is your identity in the Vatican? Tell the truth, don't hide it." A member of the tactical team, responsible for killing the devil's believers. Mona looked at Wayne and said word by word. "Why are you looking at me? I'm not a devil, undercover, you know, I just look like one." Wayne looked at the file again and confirmed that someone had received the information he handed out. "Taking back what I said before, the church has been able to stand for 1,000 years, and it does have something, at least it has no shortage of smart people. But..." Wayne took the opportunity to look at the list and glanced at Mona, who was only wearing underwear and stockings. Shabby, too shabby. As expected, those who play with the holy light have dirty hearts. In order to obtain information, they actively sacrificed kind and honest people. He felt shabby when he saw it. It shouldn't be, maybe I think too much. Wayne put down the file. If possible, he hopes that the person he cooperates with is as great and glorious as him, instead of using the devil's operation to fight the devil. "Come here, sit here." Wayne patted his thigh and asked Mona to sit with the whip. He could sense that his thoughts still existed in Mona's body. He hoped that the church would fight for its reputation and not have no bottom line for a little information. Mona clenched her fists and sat on Wayne's lap with a stern face. "Wayne. No, there is something strange. He was just talking, and he didn't give orders with his mind. He cooperated so well. You can resist my orders, right? He. Wayne patted his silk legs, looked at the expressionless profile, and suddenly felt like teasing a good family. Pa, what he meant was that the development of the situation suddenly became interesting. I saw it all. There was no coercion. It was the other party's own will. Get down, you're too fat. Wayne drove away the unloving female monk, put away the list, and patted the alchemy book on Mona's chest. Second task, prepare the things in the alchemy book, I'll pick it up tomorrow. Remember, not one less, everything must be prepared. Mona looked at Wayne in confusion. Such an important thing as the alchemy book was given to her so easily. Could it be that the great leader was right? He trusted me very much. No, this might not be as simple as trust. Mona narrowed her eyes slightly, thought of some impossible possibility, and decided to get some more information and confirm her guess by the way. She sat on Wayne's lap. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 127. A string of question marks floated across Wayne's head, and he was stunned by Mona's operation. He confirmed that this was not an illusion, and that he had no problem, and that the only problem was Mona. Fallen. Impossible, how could it be so fast? The clergy can be corrupted so easily, and the devil can laugh out of his dreams. There is no need to go to great lengths to come to the world, he can just CPU the female monk and be done with it. From Mona's willingness to die rather than obey, to now taking the initiative to take a seat, Mona has changed so much that she feels confident. Wayne guessed that Mona's superior had told him the whole story, and Mona knew he was a good person, so. That's not right, good people will only be bullied, and bad people deserve to enjoy the beauty trap. Wayne touched the mask on his face. The contrast between before and after was too big. The superiors of the Holy See should have assigned Mona a task to find out his background and see whether he was a good person or a bad person. Okay, this is how you play, right? Wayne glanced at Mona and knew that you had grievances, so he would not make it difficult for you. Next, he promised not to take the initiative or refuse, so that you could complete the task successfully. But the ugly words are ahead, and he will not be responsible, so he advises Mona not to go too far. Wayne raised his hand and touched the silk leg. Mona's body froze. For about 2 minutes, the silk stockings were about to ball up, and no one started to make the next move. The atmosphere was awkward, both waiting for the other to make the first move. After a while, Wayne didn't wait for anything. He stood up, picked up Mona, threw her to the ground, and said mercilessly, "You're too fat. For the third task, slim down to 110 pounds before you can please me." He straightened his windbreaker and walked away. Remember, you must not miss any material for setting up the alchemy array. At this time tomorrow, bring your things and follow me to the third stronghold. He said stronghold no 3. In St. Paul's Cathedral, Gunther flipped through the alchemy book and frowned. Where are strongholds number 1 and 2? Mona was not very clear, so she relayed the original words and asked, Archbishop, do you really want to prepare the materials for him? Otherwise, if you don't send the materials in, how can we capture the specific location of the portal? Gunther continued to flip through the alchemy book, trying to find other clues. After a while, he seemed to notice something, and said to Mona, "Go down, you can rest in the church tonight, I will prepare the materials as soon as possible and hand them over to him. No one should be missing." "Archbishop, you talk like the devil. Do you two know each other?" Mona was even more confused, suspecting that the so-called Bruce was actually an undercover agent installed by the Holy See in the Hell Camp. He lured her to the Devil's Believer's Den that night in order to use her priesthood to deceive the Devil's trust. The possibility is very high. Bruce took her out intact from a group of perverts on the pretext of not wanting to share. He only touched her butt and legs and sent information to the Archbishop through her. So, Bruce just has a bad mouth and looks like a devil, but is actually one of his own? The idea was too wishful thinking, and Mona wasn't convinced. Bruce really didn't look like the actor in person at the scene. Archbishop, I want to know. You don't have to know that to follow the order, you must completely relay everything he said to me, Gunther reiterated. Well, Bruce also gave me a third task, Mona said dryly. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Gunther glanced at Mona accusingly. What mission? What else does he need? He thought I was too fat, so he asked me to lose weight to 110 pounds before seducing him. Who asked you to seduce him? Gunther said displeased. Don't do anything on your own. Also, lose weight quickly and lose weight to 110 pounds. Mona left speechlessly. She was not fat, not at all, and her figure was so good that even the devil would call her a devil. After Mona left, Gunther dug out a dozen scraps of paper from between the pages of the alchemy book. After splicing them together, a simple map of the London Underground suddenly appeared in front of him. Marker 1 site is located in East London, close to the River Thames. Marker number 2 is located in London South District, very close to the location where Mona was ambushed. Location number 3 is located in the West District, and more locations such as number 4 and number 5 are marked with question marks. The inverted pentagram, may be another magic circle. Gunther's eyes exploded with golden light, and he gained important information. The foggy area in front of him became much clearer in an instant. But this is not enough. He needs to obtain all the portal coordinates. Only in this way can he smash the devil's conspiracy with the power of thunder and drive him back to hell. Rather than rushing back to hell, sealing it may be a better choice. We have always been too passive, Gunther murmured to himself, thinking of the Free Mage Alliance. Relying solely on the power of the Holy See in London, it is at best 50/50 equal to the devil coming to the world, because once it shows too much power, the next version will inevitably be weakened. The royal family will not tolerate the growth of the Holy See, and Gunther has no reason to sacrifice the accumulated wealth. In this case, cooperation with the Free Mage Alliance is undoubtedly a better choice. Because of your suppression, the Holy See is unable to fight against the devil, and London will soon be devastated. You just have to figure it out. Gunther put the note away and drew it again on another piece of white paper. He was even more curious about the identity of Bruce. It can be confirmed that Bruce was not controlled by the Thousand-Eyed Demon and sent the information in order to use the Holy See to eradicate the Thousand-Eyed Demon. However, Mona also said that the Thousand-Eyed Demon personally polluted Bruce's mind. Not everyone can resist the temptation of the devil, and not everyone can maintain themselves in front of the devil. The magician named Bruce is definitely not that simple. He uses blood magic and is the disciple of the Blood Tyrant. It's possible that he is from the Free Mage Alliance. Gunther weighed the pros and cons and had to get in touch with the Free Mage Alliance as soon as possible. If it was the latter, it would be nothing more than another weakening of the Holy See by the royal family. If it was the former, the situation would be even more difficult. Bruce can resist the temptation of the Thousand-Eyed Demon. The Blood Tyrant must have placed a heavy bet on him. His plot is only bigger than the Thousand-Eyed Demon and must be treated with caution. I hope it's the latter, otherwise it will be too troublesome. Gunther sighed. It had been a troubled time recently. He contacted the Papal States this morning. Many countries had seen signs of the coming of the devil. Chaos is inseparable from the clouds of war. Chaos is about to break out, and a new era has begun, but the Holy See is not yet ready. Gunther glanced at the cross on the wall and complained softly, "Why don't we just come here? We have to find them one by one." Wayne House. The female knight Valkyrie stands with a sword in hand and teaches Wayne and Willie the art of dragon-slaying swordsmanship. The sword moves are wide open and close, requiring extremely high arm strength from the user. Wayne must have met the standard. To his surprise, Willie's arm strength also met the minimum requirement. Can't you see that your short hands and middle finger are shorter than others, but you are so strong? Wayne sighed repeatedly, knowing that when he was given, his voice was light and his body was soft, he could easily be pushed over. It's right to think about it. All the disciples of the Sun Goddess are so powerful that they lack nothing but strength. This is true for men, and women are no exception. After Wei Li was cursed, her appearance was that of a standard muscular bully. After receiving praise from Wayne, Willie put her hands on her hips and said proudly, "It's all because of Veronica. I often invite her to wrestle, and as I practice, my strength becomes stronger." Oh, it turns out he was tortured. Wayne rolled his eyes, there was nothing to be proud of. Half an hour later, the black limousine drove into the garage. It was dinner time and the afternoon night class was over. The housekeeper Fura opened the car door and asked the future MRS Chris to get out of the car. He found Wayne and whispered a few words. The smile on Wayne's face faded and his brows furrowed. "I'm being followed." "Who is it?" "I don't know. I didn't see the person following me, but I noticed the surveillance gaze. On the way back from Evanston Women's College, my gaze was always there." Fula lowered her voice. Although Fula is not a magician, as a former Windsor intelligence officer, he is very experienced in counter-reconnaissance and is much better than Wayne, a second-hand spy. He suspected that he was being followed, and Wayne immediately paid attention to it. "Following you, or stalking?" Wayne glanced at Chris. "On the way to Evanston Women's College, I didn't notice those eyes," Fula replied. "I see." Wayne raised his hand and touched his chin, and gave some instructions to Furlaw. The latter frowned and said, "Mr. Wayne, is this too offensive? Leaving it is a hidden danger after all. I don't like to leave the crisis to be solved later. I should discover it immediately and eliminate it immediately." After dinner, Wayne excused himself from tonight's class, citing physical discomfort. "As an apology, I will personally drive Chris back to the academy tonight. You can stay overnight if you don't have classes, so why do you have to drive back to the college?" X2. Willie poked her head around, suspecting that Wayne drove her senior sister away for a date. Although Chris felt strange, she didn't say anything and followed Wayne into the car. In the back row, night armor is placed in the trunk. Wayne drove out of the city. On both sides of the road, dim street lights accompanied by hazy fog lingered in the woods, which was eerie and eerie. "Wayne, this is not the way to school," Chris reminded. "I know, I didn't plan to send you back to school tonight. I brought you out just for a date." "Ah, this." Chris's face turned red, and she waved her hands to reject Wayne's kindness. She felt that Wayne should date Veronica or Willie, and it should not be her in any case. She was not very good at rejecting friends, so she hesitated and said a few words, which roughly translated meant that "you are a good person, but I am not worthy of you." Suddenly receiving a good guy card, Wayne was a little depressed. He parked the car under the street light and leaned on the seat and rocked. "Chris, you are too direct. Although I was just joking, I am really shocked now." Upon hearing this, Chris immediately relaxed. Fortunately, it was just a joke, otherwise she wouldn't know how to face Veronica and Willie. The situation was too chaotic and she didn't want to get involved. Just being a normal friend would be enough. "Wayne, why are you hanging around? It's itchy on the back. By the way, Chris, have you noticed any strange people these days?" Wayne made a gesture and set an example by staring at Chrissy's face, then her chest. "It's like this, it's so lewd, and you won't feel at ease just by looking at it." "Chris. Don't tell me, there really was one, and it wasn't just in the last few days, it was quite some time ago." "Except me." "No, Wayne, You're not a pervert. Chrissy was amused. Wayne asked a few questions and found that Chrissy was too arrogant and lived too comfortably. Every day at school, Wayne's house was at 2 o'clock and 1 a.m., and all she interacted with were serious people. She had a very poor sense of prevention and a serious lack of sense of crisis. Just like her, luckily it was a women's college and it was placed in a co-ed college, so flies were flying around the dormitory downstairs during her freshman year. No, she was obviously the most reliable when she was a cat. Chris didn't realize that someone was following her, so Wayne simply pointed out the truth. "Fool, I've found out that someone is following you. He is a professional housekeeper with extremely strong anti-reconnaissance capabilities. Even he only noticed the line of sight but did not find the target. It shows that the stalker is not an ordinary person." Wayne's face wavered solemnly. "If nothing else, you are being targeted by the magician. A believer in death." Chrissy's face straightened up, and the corners of her eyebrows sharpened for a moment. Wayne was surprised by the change in the other person's temperament and subconsciously forgot to shake. Before he could answer Chris's words, there was some movement in the surrounding trees. White light bloomed in Chrissy's eyes, and the cold moonlight was like solidified spring water, spreading a crescent moon barrier outside the black car. What a fast casting speed! Wayne glanced at Chris, walked out of the car with his belt raised, and said angrily, "Who is it? It's late at night, didn't you see that there is something going on here? Chris, don't wander around in the car next time." She opened the car door and came to Wayne's side. Wayne caught a few figures, very cautiously, and had no intention of confronting him. He hesitated for a moment, then disappeared into the darkness. Wayne did not pursue him and asked Aubin to hide in the fog and follow him. "Chris, I scared people away. Let's continue. Where do you want to go on a date? Go home." Your home or mine?" Wayne winked, didn't ask any questions, and drove Chris back to his home. On the other side, several men in black robes got into the sewer and disappeared through a portal. Aubin marked a P-spot and disappeared into the mist, waiting for his master to call him. Several men in black robes stepped into the portal, entered the deserted ancient city, and found the leader, Jeriv, at the stronghold headquarters. "Brother, number 7 failed." The boy in black robe complained, 2 days were wasted. "She is not a virgin and does not meet the requirements." "What happened?" Jeriv wondered. Target number 7 was a researcher at a women's college. He was fine 2 days ago, but why suddenly he no longer met the requirements? "Brother, the information is not accurate. Number 7 is not a serious girl." The boy in black robe said firmly, "It has spread throughout the college. If you ask around, you will find out that she works as a mistress for rich people and stays out every night." "Shut up, do you believe this stupid thing?" Jeriv laughed angrily. "Use your brain. She is a member of the Moonlight Church and the adopted daughter of a priest. She cannot be short of money for anything. Brother, is it possible that the Moonlight Church is in urgent need of cash flow and the priest sent his adopted daughter to the bed of a rich man?" Jeriv looked at his little brother with a dark face. "You clever little kid, put your head over here and let me see how much cement is stuffed inside." "No, brother, they can testify that the rich man is really rich. His house is so big." The younger brothers testified one after another, gnashed their teeth and cursed in low voices. Facing the class enemy, they all raised their voices of common hatred. "That doesn't mean she has lost her purity. I really lost her. Just now, the young master from a wealthy family drove her to the roadside. Seeing no one around, he hurriedly got things done." The boy in black robe was extremely upset and cursed. "We wanted to stop him, but he was too fast. Chun Chun is a waste. The car will sway a few times and it will be over. That's right, I've been smoking a cigarette longer than he has. It's obviously half a cigarette." "Shut up." Jeriv raised his hands to cover his face. Don't talk nonsense to me, get out of here. Have you seen him doing anything? If not, continue to follow him. Brother, there's really no need to follow him. Although we didn't see him doing anything, No 7's expression was obviously not right afterwards. He looked like a different person. I'm someone who's been there before. I understand this. The boy in black robe raised his hand and swore that based on the experience of the brothers, number 7 would be disqualified and there would be no point in continuing to follow him. Then let's change to another one. This is number 9. Follow him and see what's going on with him. Jerif took a photo. Photo. Brother, he is not pure either. He is the young master from a rich family. What do you mean? 2 goals were lost in half a cigarette. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 128. The portal, the black robe, is the lackey of the thousand-eyed demon. Wayne received a summons from Aubin and wondered why the minions of the thousand-eyed demon were targeting Chris. He has seen this group of minions, every one of them, they are all impatient and full of filthy words. There is no shortage of technicians in London, so you can spend whatever you want. Spending a lot of time at the risk of exposing the thousand-eyed demon's plan is obviously not in line with common sense. They only have one life, and they don't have the courage. Wayne couldn't figure out the reason after thinking about it, thinking that the Vatican might know about it, and he would reveal the information to Mona tonight and let the Vatican worry about it. It's late at night. Wayne got out of the sewer, looked at the car parked in front of Mona's house, and nodded secretly. The skinny camel was indeed bigger than the horse, and he had all the things he wanted in one day. He opened the door and got into the passenger seat. When he saw Mona in the driver's seat with an expression of "I have seen through the truth," he snorted angrily. Fortunately, you are still a blue-level detective. It took you 2 nights to recognize who the good guys are. You have lowered the standard of the detective world. Where to go? Find a secluded place. This is not a suitable place to open a portal. Wayne said slowly, remember to add the title of master next time. You are captured and enslaved by me. You must express the emotion of struggle instead of the cold dead face now. Makes sense. Mona nodded. The Archbishop didn't say anything, but she had already confirmed that this bastard was really one of her own. Mona knew very well how difficult it was to be undercover. She was exhausted after just 2 days undercover, and the despair of losing everything at any time was very difficult. The bastard keeps company with the devil every day, his life is in danger if he is not careful, and the pressure he endures is unimaginable. Thinking about it this way, she just had her butt touched twice, so there was no need to be reluctant. The truck started slowly. Wayne raised his hand to stop and said solemnly, "Are you wearing high heels? Is there anything wrong? Take off your shoes." "You are not allowed to wear high heels while driving in the future," Wayne ordered with his mind, indicating the seriousness. 10 minutes later, the truck stopped at the edge of the alley. Wayne sat in the car, opened the portal with the key, and asked Mona to move the alchemy materials in one by one, handling them gently without any bumps. Mona obeyed the orders obediently and never complained. At first glance, it seemed that she had been trained. Ruins of ancient city number 3, square. Mona looked at Wayne, who was sitting on the sofa making tea, and finally understood why there were sofas, tea sets, and fire racks among the alchemy materials. "Don't be lazy, hurry up and set up the alchemy array. The task is very heavy tonight. After setting up the alchemy array, I have other tasks to give you." Wayne crossed his legs, put down the black tea and shouted loudly, trying to fish at work. "It's really outrageous." Mona's face darkened, but she still had no complaints. She was directed by Wayne to build the formation, and worked extremely hard. The materials required for the alchemy array are not precious, but the quantity is extremely large, and the composition of the magic array also has extremely high requirements, which ordinary people cannot do with the hard work and hard work. Wayne doesn't want to suffer this injustice. It's not that easy to let him work for the devil. Outsourcing it to the clergy, everyone will make money. This is a win-win-win situation. Bruce, it looks like you're enjoying it. The portal opened, and the clone of the thousand-eyed demon came to check on the situation. When he saw Wayne lying on the sofa fishing, and the female monk under his control was busy, he couldn't help laughing. Okay, this operation is very devilish, and this guy also has a lot of future. My master, I welcome you. Wayne stood up, placed one hand on his chest like the butler and bowed slightly. The thousand-eyed demon was even more satisfied. Wayne's courtesy reminded him of his most proud disciple, Sigma, and Iwajiwo became more and more pleasing to his eyes. It's a pity that this dog once served the Blood Lord. Even if he takes it away, the belief in blood will only be suppressed instead of completely disappearing. After all, it cannot be cultivated as a confidant. Mona, come here and say hello to my master. Seeing that the thousand-eyed demon didn't speak for a while, Wayne called the tool man to come forward. Mona lowered her head and came to Wayne's side, whispering master, a little aggrieved, which was in line with her current character who couldn't help herself. What's going on? Your servant seems to have retained his will, thousand-eyed demon said displeased. Master, my power is too weak to completely control her will. I can only implant thoughts so that she has to obey my orders. Speaking of this, Wayne looked at the thousand-eyed demon eagerly. The thousand-eyed demon simply ignored him. He was just a clone and could not give more power. He said slowly, Bruce, power does not lie in strength, but in the method of use. You can erase her mind and make her a mindless puppet. If you can't do that, I can help you. Mona's body trembled, she held her breath and lowered her head deeply. That's so boring. I prefer to see her struggling than a puppet with strings. Wayne slapped Mona hard on the butt, causing the latter's body to tremble and her fists to turn white. X2. The two demons laughed, and the thousand-eyed demon nodded with satisfaction. Yes, you are really a bad guy. It would be a pity not to go to hell. Thank you for your compliment. In fact, I learned from you. Wayne said modestly, I used 2 of the little tricks you taught me before on her, and the results are beginning to show. She already knows how to take the initiative to ride people. Just have fun, don't take it too seriously, remember to destroy her when it's done, otherwise she will destroy you. The thousand-eyed demon thought of a certain demon king that he couldn't stop, so he took the initiative to end the conversation and asked, how are the preparations for the alchemy array? Have the 66 corpses you were asked to find found? The alchemy array is still being prepared. It will be completed in the next 2 days. I'm afraid it will take a while for the corpse. Wayne lowered his head and said, the belief in hell is extremely hidden in London. I know the whereabouts of several friends and plan to bring their bodies tonight. After that, I can only collect them while searching. Yes, they didn't make the wrong friends. The thousand-eyed demon once again praised Bruce. The more he looked at Bruce, the more he had the potential to become a demon. If the hell demons were not overcrowded and the territory was no longer enough, he would have wanted to train him. There is still 1 month left. With your ability, you will definitely be able to complete the task. Serve me well and your benefits will be indispensable. The thousand-eyed demon said nonsense. This cake sounds familiar, I seem to have drawn it somewhere. Wayne thought for a while, and it seemed that he had said similar words to someone before, and he immediately bowed and said, my master, showing loyalty to you is your greatest reward to me. Apart from this, I don't want anything. The thousand-eyed demon was shocked when he heard this, and felt Sigma's figure overlap with Wayne's. He sighed regretfully, it would be great if I met you before the blood. My lord, who is the blood? Ha ha ha, you are right, who is the blood? The thousand-eyed demon patted Wayne on the shoulder and became interested in talents. A month later, he would personally consecrate Wayne and turn him into his familiar. After the thousand-eyed demon left, Wayne sat on the sofa. Mona came forward and whispered, "There is still 1 month, I think he." "Shut up, what does this have to do with you?" Wayne glared at Mona. Mona understood it instantly, and slowly sat on Wayne's lap, raised her hands and hooked her shoulders, bit her ear and said, "There is still a month, I feel. It doesn't matter what you think, it's up to me." Wayne stood up expressionlessly, throwing Mona on the ground with his hands. "You are not allowed to talk to the master during working hours. After work, you will have plenty of time to deal with me." Mona blinked and realized what mistake she had made. She suppressed her curiosity and went to the alchemy array to continue working. "This guy is getting smaller and smaller." Wayne frowned and looked at Mona. He didn't have any consciousness of being manipulated. Today he dared to ride on his lap, and tomorrow he dared to ride on his face. If he continued to let it go, he might get caught by the thousand-eyed demon. "No, I have to say hello to the Vatican. This microphone is too smart. It has its own ideas from time to time and needs to be hammered out as soon as possible." 2 hours later, the alchemy formation began to take shape. Wayne sent a message and asked Mona to stop today's work. He said that it would take 2 days to complete the alchemy array and would never be completed overnight. "Why are you, an outsourcer, working so hard? Let's go grab the body." West End. Mona's car stopped on the side of the road, and Wayne sat in the back seat waiting for the other person to return. The master is kind-hearted and doesn't want to see too bloody a scene. Therefore, when outsourcing the task of the alchemy array, the task of the 66 corpses was also outsourced. Mona walked out of the apartment carrying a large suitcase, threw it into the trunk, got in the car, took off her high heels and started the car. "Master, the target has been solved and no traces were left at the scene. I copied her handwriting and left a letter to travel to other places," Mona said to the rearview mirror. Mona was still a little uncomfortable with the word master being mentioned, but Bruce strictly abided by the code of conduct of an undercover agent and was still unwilling to reveal his identity even though he knew it well. She cooperated with the performance and would not say anything more than a few words. "I started to feel so ashamed." Wayne opened the file and read the information about the Hell Believers clearly under the dim streetlight. This is a young actor who believes in the Lord of Lust among the 7 demon kings. His private life is very chaotic. He is as beautiful as a flower and has a heart like a snake. She believes in the Lord of Lust and maintains youthfulness and beauty by taking orally administered pills. It sounds very much like a succubus, and it is indeed the case. According to Mona, the Lord of Lust that the young actor believes in is the image of a succubus. A flower from hell, the top card is the madam, and all her creations are born in the image of a succubus. The young actress has gained youth and beauty, but the men who sleep with her will suffer misfortune. At worst, they may not be able to get back together, or at worst, their lifespan may be shortened by 10 years. Believers of lust. Wayne glanced at Mona who was driving. "A woman like her will not even be looked at by the master who gave it to me for free. You are different, clean, and pure. If you hadn't been labeled by me and become my shape, the owner will definitely take you away. Is this information, or is it just a matter of conversation?" Mona carefully tested it. "What will the master do after he takes me away? How do I know this? Don't you think about it yourself?" Wayne snorted coldly. "That's it for tonight. The box will be sent to stronghold number 3. You can leave." "Master, do you have any other instructions?" "Yes, you talk too much. If your curiosity is still so strong, don't come to see me again." "Why are you so curious?" The camera turned and came to the cathedral. Gunther scolded slightly. "Don't do anything other than the mission. You are an undercover agent. Your first priority is to protect yourself. Once exposed, the information will be cut off." Mona nodded. having learned to be reticent during the second half of the evening. In addition, you don't have to meet me every night in the future, which will increase the risk of exposure. If you have important information, just contact me by radio. Gunther waved his hand to let Mona leave in disguise and began to study the new information. The Thousand Eyes demon is looking for a pure virgin, which reminds him of many evil rituals. He doesn't know which one it is, and he can't find out the result for a while. Bruce sent several of the most important information to the Holy See. According to Gunther's analysis of the information, Bruce was not valued by the Thousand Eyes demon, and the information he could collect was very limited. In a short period of time, if the Holy See wants to obtain important information again, it can only use its own intelligence system. The Holy See has two intelligence systems in Windsor. Gunther chose the Free Mage Alliance. He has already contacted the other party. Calculating the time, it's time to keep the appointment. He left the cathedral alone, drove more than 10 kilometers, and entered an unremarkable bar. In the second-floor box, 3 old men have been waiting for a long time. "Gunther, you are late." Dean Plank spoke first. "I brought the latest intelligence." Gunther pulled out a chair and sat down, closed his eyes and sensed it, confirmed that the soundproof barrier was erected, and then said, "What about you? Have you found out the identity of Bruce? Is he a member of the Free Mage Alliance?" "At present, it seems that he is not." "Then include him in the target and solve it together when the time comes," Gunther said. "There is no rush for this, we decided to keep him." Plank touched the ancient silver coin in his hand. He knew that there was such a genius who could cast the corresponding faith magic with the right props. Coincidentally, this genius stopped the arrival of the Blood Lord on Dragonheart Island some time ago. Being bolder, picking up strange props afterwards, and using them to cast blood magic, it is reasonable and logically reasonable. However, there is no need to tell Gunther about this kind of thing, because everyone is not that familiar. As for confirming whether Wayne is Bruce, someone has taken the initiative to take the job. Plank's authority is not as high as the other party, so there is no way to operate it. While several people were discussing, in the box next to them, Austin, who had a big back-combed hair, sat on the sofa and played with ancient silver coins. Bruce Wayne. Although it was not confirmed that it was the same person, Austin had already believed it 80%. If possible, he would be very happy to send the information to the Thousand Eyes demon. "Don't hide it, you have an undercover. It's a pity that it can't be sent." Austin hated Wayne, but he never thought of killing Wayne. It was a beauty trap and the grandfather sending equipment, which was nothing more than driving Wayne out of his wife and daughter's sight. If Wayne was really Bruce, he wouldn't mind looking at him with a higher eye. "Very similar, right?" Austin spoke slowly. Behind him, the housekeeper Megan nodded. "Master, he is almost exactly like you. The eldest lady is kind-hearted. If anyone can inherit the Landau family, he will be the best candidate." Austin's eyelids jumped. It was because they were too similar that he hated Wayne. "Also, don't mention his baby daughter and cement bucket at the same time, his heart can't stand it." "Master, when are you going to start training him?" "He works for the devil, whether he can survive for a month is still uncertain, why should I waste time training him?" Austin closed his eyes. "Arrange a schedule, 1 month later, if he is still alive, invite him to my business party." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 129. Landau Manor, Base. Wayne, wearing a white sleeveless vest and black trousers, stretched his muscles on the spot. Opposite him was Veronica, who was like a mirror, wearing the same white vest and black trousers. 3 days had passed since Chris was followed. Wayne would go to and from school by car every day. He had never met the black-robed man again, and FLA had not felt the surveillance gaze. It was strange that the other party seemed to give up suddenly. Wayne didn't understand why, and just thought that the other party was deceiving him to relax his vigilance, and he refused to be fooled no matter what. Not to mention, every day when he went to and from school by car, he saw the youthful and energetic female college students, and was influenced by the atmosphere, and felt that he was much purer. At night, Mona had learned to move on her own. Every night, Wayne would clock in at the number 3 base. It didn't matter what he was busy with, but mainly to let the Thousand Eyes demon know that he worked hard and never missed work. He was not at the base during the day to investigate his friends, and friends of friends, and collect 66 bodies through this network of relationships. In fact, he did nothing, and outsourced all the business to the Father Church. It must be said that big companies are generous. If Wayne hadn't pressed, Mona could have sent all 66 corpses in one night. The Thousand Eyes demon has been dormant since its last appearance, just like his symbols, the millipede and the centipede, hiding in a dark and humid environment, never exposing himself to the light. The devil is so cautious that it is outrageous, and you can imagine how big his plot is. Wayne was a little panicked, but not that panicked. He ate and slept every day, and he did everything he could. What conspiracy plans the devil had, whether he really wanted to destroy the world, the church had worked hard. Be bolder, the report was already on the Queen's desk before the Archbishop of the church received the information. This is too bold, after all, Windsor, the intelligence ability is not so exaggerated. After the event, Veronica touched her fists with both hands and hooked her fingers before Wayne. Then, without waiting for Wayne to make any move, she rushed out like an arrow from a bow, punching the social scum in the face. It's easy to learn good things, but it's easy to learn bad things. Under Wayne's words and deeds, she initially mastered the essence of sneak attacks. Unexpected. The fist tip is wrapped in a layer of fine scales, squeezing the air and pushing the airflow to both sides. The fist tip passes, and the terrifying force tears a white arc of light. Wayne did not dodge or evade, but blocked with his arms and resisted it. While sliding backwards, he grabbed Veronica's fist. Got you, X2. The two of them countered each other's moves, and their speed increased faster and faster. Every time they fought and changed their moves, the airflow would roll violently. A large amount of white airflow appeared out of thin air around the two people, and soon formed a small-scale hurricane. In the distorted air, only two pairs of black trousers could be seen colliding back and forth. Bang! With a loud bang, Wayne flew out like a cannonball, hitting the wall behind him heavily, accompanied by a dull bang, stirring up a large amount of smoke and dust. He shook his neck on the spot, his face calm. Again. Wayne really likes wrestling with Veronica. According to him, he doesn't care. It's mainly because Veronica likes it. As the Landau family's little white face, he must cater to her preferences. This interaction was stopped by Sci-fi. The teacher asked the students to spar with his daughter in order to cultivate their close combat skills, work together, and improve together. Not to let them hug each other and roll on the ground. What are you doing? Be serious, you are in love here. Sci-fi scolded the two of them, and from then on, the interactive project of wrestling was rejected and prohibited from appearing in the underground base. Wayne and Veronica's daily interaction was also forced by Sci-fi to improve the essence of life as the first goal, try to make it round-based, and do not dodge when switching between offense and defense. In other words, one punch per person, standing still and getting beaten. When Wayne's potential is fully tapped and Veronica is strengthened, Sci-fi will personally teach him fighting skills. Veronica has dragon blood, so it is natural for her to inherit Sci-fi's mantle. After testing, Wayne is very suitable for the teacher's fighting style, and he himself is particularly fond of it. After trying many times, he really prefers to use fists rather than big swords. At some point, Sci-fi has come to the sidelines and asked the housekeeper Megan, "How long has it been?" The young master and the young lady have been fighting for 20 minutes. They are currently full of energy and can still carry out 2 training courses, Megan replied truthfully. Sci-fi nodded secretly, holding the blood test report in her hand, full of expectations for the student's future. The report came out: Wayne is a pure-blooded human, and he appeared intact without any late additives. How can he be a human who can wrestle with a descendant of dragon blood? Sci-fi's first reaction was disbelief, absolutely impossible, and soon she thought of another possibility. The physique of each person cannot be generalized. Ignoring the peculiarities with special physiques, there is a big difference between the current humans and the original humans. According to legend, the original humans were the descendants of God, created by God himself, with protozoan blood and unlimited possibilities. As time goes by, the protozoan blood gradually dilutes, and the potential is sealed by shackles. It is difficult to break the limit and return to the beginning, and it is necessary to transform through life magic. For example, the Life Alliance integrates the life magic of nature, sun, and moonlight, and the believers will gradually approach the elves in appearance. Another example is the Heavenly Father Church, which has an independent inheritance of life magic. As long as the faith is pious enough, it is no longer a dream to change to an angel. The opposite of heaven is hell. The believers of hell gradually evolve from the initial servants according to their own beliefs, and their final image will be close to their own beliefs. Of course, these are acquired transformations; because of their lack of potential, they have to find another way. The original bloodline does not have such troubles. They are the favorites of God, with a lot of choices. They can evolve according to life magic, or they can maintain themselves and enter a higher class. Sci-fi firmly believes that Wayne is the owner of the original bloodline, otherwise it is difficult to explain why his life essence is so powerful. She withdrew the sample inspection report in her hand and did not inform anyone. Make a fortune in silence. Thinking that the student was snatched from the Moonlight Church, Sci-fi shouted that she was twice as happy, and the corners of her mouth could not stop rising. Bang! The smoke and dust rose in the field, and Veronica flew out, hitting Megan on the side of the field without bias. Looking at the young lady who was attacking like a cannonball, Megan raised her hand and pressed on the other's back, and the terrifying force was guided into the ground along her legs, and she caught it easily. Dust flew up, and there was no crack on the ground under Megan's feet, which showed how accurately she controlled her strength. Sci-fi knew what Megan was like, but she didn't care about it. Wayne was shocked and almost thought that the housekeeper was going to the hospital. What happened? Why is she so strong? Old Den didn't have a dragon blood wife to flirt with, so he found a dragon blood lover? Wayne looked at Megan in surprise. The latter was so calm that she didn't even shake. Obviously, she still had some strength. If his guess was true, then FLA was indeed unable to compete with Megan. Not only did she have a promotion device, but she also had the violent aura of the original wife. No matter how professional FLA was, could she make up for the absence of the lady? Even if she could make up for it, could she press the master to the ground and abuse him when doing things? FLA was defeated and left London with a suitcase. Don't be dazed, the fight is not over yet. Veronica covered her nose and stared at the social garbage viciously. When Sci-fi was present, Wayne only hit her face. As soon as Sci-fi left, Wayne hit her everywhere, focusing on certain key parts, which made her very angry. Why pretend to be upright? If you have the ability, just continue to hit her chest. Bang! In the huge explosion, Veronica seemed to have stepped on the air directly, accompanied by a group of exploding white mist, and turned into a residual image shooting towards Wayne. It's not as if she really stepped on the air. This is the skill of using magic power. In the Silver Cross stage, the magician can walk in the air by bursting magic power. But because it is air, not the visible and tangible ground, the leverage is very limited. It is very difficult to change direction in the air, and it requires a lot of magic power. Ordinary magicians rarely waste so much. Veronica has dragon blood, and her life essence is strong. The magic reserve is enough to support her consumption. "Referee," she fouled. Wayne shouted loudly. It was agreed that they would only fight physically and not use magic. Veronica blatantly fouled. Did she really think the referee was blind? The referees were not blind, but one was a mother and the other was a housekeeper. They turned a blind eye to this and chose to remain silent. Minor fouls are not counted as fouls. No one cares, right? Then I'll open it too. Wayne's body was filled with magic, stimulating the essence of life to be greatly enhanced. The flames wrapped around his arms and twisted the air, crossing the arc of red light, and rushed towards Veronica's fist. Boom! There was a loud bang, accompanied by the explosion of the fire wave, and the violent airflow shot out in all directions, rumbling towards the exit of the base. The mist dissipated, and the two people in the field were entangled again. Veronica clamped Wayne's neck and pressed his head tightly against his chest, while she was held in the air and hit her back with a knee. If it were an ordinary person, they would have died long ago. "Surrender, I'll let you go if you surrender." "What a joke, if you don't surrender, I'll make you sit in a wheelchair for the rest of your life." X2. Megan said nothing, she was used to it. Sci-fi raised her hands to cover her face. Such fresh dog food, she wanted to find a jerk to beat him up. "Okay, this round is a tie, let's get here first." Sci-fi walked to the middle of the field and separated the two people who were unwilling to give in. She saw that Veronica's chest was wet, which should, perhaps, be the sweat on Wayne's face. She rolled her eyes and said, "Veronica, take a rest first, I have something to say to Wayne." "Mysterious, is there anything I can't hear?" Seeing her mother taking social garbage to the corner, Veronica pricked up her ears and vaguely heard the blood test report. "Are you kidding me? I'm actually a human." Wayne opened his eyes wide and lowered his voice to whisper, "Teacher, did you get someone else's report? My life essence is so exaggerated, I should be a dragon." "No, you don't have dragon blood." Hi-Fi solemnly described the bloodline of the original body and warned, "Remember, don't tell anyone, not even Veronica." Wayne nodded and asked about the future training plan and when to start practicing the Silver Cross. "Continue to explore your potential first. You and Veronica both have room for improvement. Practicing is good for both of you." Hi-Fi smacked her lips and said speechlessly, "Also, be serious during training. My sister can't stand it anymore. Don't always tease Veronica to wrestle with you. After all, I am her mother. How can I tease my daughter in front of her mother? Teacher, change your perspective. Someone is clearly teasing your student in person." Wayne felt deeply wronged. The force is mutual. At first glance, it seems that he is taking advantage of Veronica, but from another angle, it is clear that he is the one who suffers. Damn, when will the version be updated, pervert, bah, when will a good man stand up? After the explanation, Sci-Fi left the base and continued the training. Veronica asked curiously, "What did mother just say to you? Is there anything wrong with your bloodline? Ordinary human. How is it possible? If you ask, it's an ordinary human." Wayne didn't say much, and changed the subject. "The teacher also said that you are a girl. The next time you hit my face with your chest, I will try to avoid it as much as possible. But, it's obviously you who came up to me." Veronica was furious and took the initiative to start the second round. The sound of humming and ha-ha sounded again in the base. Wayne's house. The black luxury car stopped. Wayne opened the door, and looked at FLA. "Wayne, is someone following me?" "FLA, Not since that day. Wayne nodded. It was still a fruitless day. It seemed that the minions of the Thousand Eyes demon had given up. Why give up? It was just a few lives. Give them a chance to save the beauty. After dinner, 2 women and 1 man had tea in the living room, followed by a 1.5-hour night class tutoring in the study. There was more than one study in Wayne's house. The one with the secret door was Wayne's exclusive study and secret warehouse. Even FLA could not enter casually. After class, Wayne came to the exclusive study, and Valkyrie handed him a white shirt and trousers. She used her mind to shape the holy cloth. It took 10 days to tailor it according to Wayne's figure. Just looking at the appearance, it was no different from ordinary clothes. The blood of hell on the holy cloth is very advanced. It is not an ordinary descendant of the evil god. This set of clothes can be immune to elemental magic within a certain range. Valkyrie said. Wayne nodded. When fighting Sigma, he discovered the extraordinariness of the holy cloth. The products of the church must be top-notch. If the devil attacks the cathedral again, he will say that he will be fully present. Does this suit have any properties, such as wear resistance? Wayne took off his clothes and changed with his upper body bare. The material is tough, and it will not wear out unless it is attacked too strongly. Be careful to avoid sharp weapons. Valkyrie said, it doesn't matter if it is damaged. Bring it back. I can sew it with my mind, but be careful not to lose too many parts. As he spoke, Wayne had already started to take off his pants. Seeing this, Valkyrie smiled slightly. You have a good figure. How about it? Do you want me to help you change your pants? Wayne's face was embarrassed. The first love strategy on August 20th was too difficult. When the other party was not embarrassed, he was embarrassed instead. After changing his clothes, Wayne tried to fire a few flames on himself and was very satisfied with the new suit. Then he took off his clothes and pants and changed into the original outfit. Valkyrie smiled and stepped forward. The night student did not change after repeated teachings. It was time to teach the other party a lesson. Wayne changed his clothes at the speed of light, not giving Valkyrie a chance to get close to him, and raised his eyebrows and said, I have to go out tonight, and I can't wear this dress, it might be exposed. Before the holy shroud was returned to its original owner, it was once transferred to the Thousand Eyes demon to prevent the other party from seeing the clues, and it was temporarily stored. Is this the reason why you changed clothes in front of me? Valkyrie shook her head slightly, reluctantly accepted this reason, and frowned. Wayne, do you need my help to investigate the devil? No, you are too conspicuous. I will meet with the informant tonight and ask what step the church has reached. Wayne started to put on makeup, and 2 minutes later, a vivid masked villain stood in front of Valkyrie. Valkyrie, the student is very tactful in his justice, but he is quite direct in playing the villain. Wayne made an okay gesture, turned into the sewer through the underground warehouse, and disappeared. He did not notice that the dormant shadow in the deep shadow outside Wayne's house turned and left. Bruce Wayne. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 130. Night. Fog, cars, street lights. Mona moved the suitcases into the portal one by one, hard-working, diligent, and without complaint, like a little bee carrying nectar. Mona wore a black short skirt that was not above the knees, black silk wrapped around her tight long legs, and a plain women's shirt with 2 buttons of the collar unbuttoned. For safe driving, she would take off her high heels when driving. Why not just change to flat shoes? The master required that high heels could not be changed, and at the same time, he strictly required Mona's clothes, such as skirts, could not be above the knees, they had to be shorter, lipstick must be bright, and heavy makeup was required. Mona strictly followed his orders, and her dressing style broke the bottom line every day. Without asking why, she wore whatever the master asked her to wear. It was understandable, after all, she was now enslaved by the devil and had fallen, and dressing too conservatively could easily arouse suspicion. Wayne sat on the sofa, picked up the black tea and blew a breath of hot air, looking at Mona, who was busy running around, and was very satisfied with her performance in the past few days. She did whatever she was told to do, no questions, no complaints. She was already a mature mouthpiece. In the center of the square, the alchemical array was emitting black mist, and from a high position, one could see the abyss grinning in the darkness. The big red lips and 2 rows of white teeth showed the evil to the extreme. Mona stood in front of the alchemical array, put on white gloves, unzipped the suitcase, and dumped the body curled up in the suitcase. The red lips opened wide, swallowed the sacrifice, and licked her lips with her tongue. Mona did not show any discomfort on her face. She had built the alchemical array with her own hands, and she knew that this would be the result, but... Mom! The red lips made a childish and feminine sound, which was what made Mona feel bad, and she also understood why Bruce never fed the alchemical array. It was so disgusting. Even for clergy with firm beliefs, hearing it a few more times would cause hallucinations. The portal opened, and the thousand-eyes demon walked out of it, took a look at the alchemy array, and was very satisfied with his efficiency. At the current speed, the 66 corpses will soon be gathered. Based on the principle of more work for those who are capable and use them to death, he decided to increase Wayne's workload by 100 million points. My master. Wayne bowed with one hand on his chest, and Mona came in small steps, standing behind her master and following suit. The clergy who would rather die than bow to the devil now humble themselves in front of the devil. If you say that she has not been trained successfully, the thousand-eyes demon will be the first to disbelieve. The thousand-eyes demon did not pay attention to Mona, but was very interested in her clothes and appearance. Especially the stockings. The devil said that he had learned a lot in the past, it was the flowers of hell, but now it is the opposite. Hell has become a countryside, and he needs to learn advanced experience from the metropolis of the human world. Good thing, the more decadent and corrupt the human world is, the easier it is for the devil to do business. The thousand-eyes demon was going to copy the idea of stockings and bring it back to hell and claim it as his own invention, so as to use it to talk to the succubi about the business of the territory. Bruce, how many corpses have you processed? Currently, 15 corpses have been fed, and there are still 22 backup candidates on the list. I have been investigating during the day, and my familiar friends have basically been used up. I am expanding my social circle. Wayne blamed himself and said that he regretted not having enough friends when he needed them. He was mainly responsible for not completing the thousand-eyes demon's order as soon as possible. No, you did a good job. The thousand-eyes demon was sure in his heart, and said bluntly, spend less energy on this woman, you will get things done faster. You are criticizing that I will give up women in a few days. That's not necessary. I will conquer the Lord of Lust in the future, and I need you to lead the way. The thousand-eyes demon waved his hand, magnanimously forgiving the past, and said, no need to investigate during the day in the future. Kill your remaining 22 friends, and I will give you the list later. Ah, this. Wayne was dumbfounded. He suspected that the task outsourced to the church had been completed ahead of schedule. Although Mona was carrying fresh suitcases every day, it was possible that these suitcases were frozen goods. 66 minus 22, minus 15, there are still 29 pieces of frozen goods. If they are not allowed, they will not be allowed. Wouldn't the unlucky people have died in vain? What's wrong? Do you have a more efficient way? That's not the case. It's mainly because I failed to share your worries. As your servant, I feel deeply ashamed. Wayne lowered his head, his tone more self-blaming. Jareth will send the list later. These people are my believers in London. They also have the belief in hell and meet the requirements, the thousand-eyes demon said. I learned that the devils are cutting leaks in this way. Wayne looked at the Thousand Eyes demon in confusion. Master, you suddenly sped up. Is there an emergency? No, the plan went very smoothly. No one knew I was in London. The Thousand Eyes demon had a sinister look on his face. However, one of my favorite disciples died. Just in case, I decided to advance the plan by a few days. At this point, the Thousand Eyes demon glanced at Wayne. I'll give you 2 days to gather 66 bodies. It doesn't matter if there's a lot of noise. Outsiders can't break in here without my permission. Wayne nodded. 2 days was a little tight, but it wasn't a big problem. Mona could do it over time. After 2 days, I want you to do another thing for me. The Thousand Eyes demon took out a map from his sleeve, and Wayne took it respectfully. My master, I will definitely not let you down on this mission. According to the marks on the map, carve the inverted pentagram array with blood, and mark the corresponding ones. Don't use the wrong blood, the Thousand Eyes demon ordered and stepped into the portal to leave. Wayne put the map in his arms, and Mona said nothing, without curiosity or questioning. Seeing her performance like this, Wayne was very satisfied and said, throw all the suitcases in, don't leave any, go back early tonight, I plan to stay at your house overnight. Got it, I'll talk about it when I get home. Mona followed the order obediently, came to the alchemy array and put the suitcases one by one into the big red mouth. 5 minutes later, Jerif, dressed in black, walked in through the portal. He looked very unhappy, and obviously had a lot of opinions about the Thousand Eyes demon's favor for the newcomer. Resentment cannot be expressed to the Thousand Eyes demon, so he can only show his face to the newcomer. Wayne ignored him, took the hunting list, raised his hand to signal Jerif to get out, and not to be an eyesore on his territory. The villain succeeded. Jerif snorted and left, regretting that he had recruited Wayne before and had gained another competitor. After Jerif left, Hell's red lips finished chewing and eating. It seemed to have grown a lot, and the voice calling for its mother became more powerful. Wayne frowned and looked at the alchemy array. According to the alchemy book, the complete formula required 666 corpses, but the Thousand Eyes demon only required 66, which was obviously inconsistent with the book. There should be other ritual locations. The Father Church easily provided a list of 66, which shows that the Church has a good idea of London's belief in hell. There may be omissions, but it must have mastered most of them. If the Thousand Eyes demon has another ritual location, London's belief in hell will suffer heavy losses, and the Church will definitely get the news at the first time. That's not right. It's very cautious and won't show its feet in such a place. Wayne thought to no avail and took Mona away from the number 3 base. At Mona's house, Wayne sat on the sofa and spread out the map to look at it. Mona sat next to him, and he looked at the time more in case the other party didn't remember it. Since the last time she tried to find out the result and confirmed that it was her own people, Mona rarely sat on Wayne's lap, at least when they were alone. Base number 3 was an exception, and it was done out of necessity to prevent the Thousand Eyes demon from monitoring, and there would be a close contact from time to time. 10 minutes later, Wayne stretched, stood up from the sofa, and walked back and forth in the living room. Mona had memorized the marks on the map by heart, and asked, Master, the blood at each marked location is different, there is sheep blood, there is crow blood, do you need me to prepare it for you? Otherwise, do you want me to do it myself? He threw the list on Mona's lap. Write it all down, give you 2 days to get it done, you can see that they are very urgent. Mona put away the list. She respected Wayne's undercover qualities and was very tactful in the conversation when obtaining intelligence. You and I have been very close in the past week, and your clothes and appearance have become more unrestrained. Has the Vatican noticed your change? Wayne asked. No, I am on a special mission. I don't need to return to the cathedral unless it is necessary. Special mission? Investigating me closely, right? Yes, although the investigation has not yet made any progress, you have completed the close investigation. Wayne raised his eyebrows and suppressed his curiosity. There is no rush for this. There will be plenty of time in the future. He said, I have seen your loyalty. I will give you a task. Return to the cathedral tonight and find a few high-ranking people with a high status to bring me some intelligence. I will use it. Mona's face became serious. Please speak. My master is searching for some special people. Has the church noticed his actions? If so, do you know his purpose? Second, the base needs to be entered and exited through the portal. Does the church have other ways to open the door? How many doors have they found? The last one, my master is going to start the plan in advance. If the church knows about this, will it be able to stop it? Wayne counted on his fingers, that's all. I'll wait for you here. Go and come back quickly. Don't delay until tomorrow. Mona nodded and got up to go out. Wait a minute. Wayne stopped Mona and said unhappily, change clothes. How can there be such an unclean nun like you? Isn't this telling the church that you have a problem? Self-cultivation of undercover. Mona corrected her mistakes and returned to the bedroom on the second floor to change clothes. By the way, she removed her heavy makeup and went out with only light makeup. Who are you putting on makeup for at night? Wayne complained speechlessly, closing his eyes and waiting for the reply from the Vatican. 2 hours later, Mona hurried back, Master, it went very smoothly. I seduced a senior official and got a lot of information. How did you seduce him? Please tell me in detail. I haven't seen much of the world. Wayne sneered and said, your master likes to eat alone and doesn't like to share with others. Remember, this is just one time and it won't happen again. Okay, I won't make it up like this next time. There are no outsiders here. Is it necessary to keep emphasizing the character setting? Master, I won't dare to do it next time. Mona sighed and admitted her mistakes aggrievedly. She had repeatedly broken the bottom line. This level of shameful lines was no longer difficult for her. What did the senior official say? Who is the master of the master searching for and what is the purpose? The Vatican is not clear for the time being. After analyzing several possibilities, the two biggest ones are special refining arrays and changing bodies to bring more thoughts. Wayne nodded. There were two possibilities. He was more inclined to the second one. If I remember correctly, the body used by the Thousand Eyes demon now is called Quinton, an entomologist. He was originally an ordinary person, not a magician. So, Chris was followed because the Thousand Eyes demon had a crush on her body? We only found one portal and marked it. If we want to find more portals, we must place specific props. Mona glanced at Wayne. According to the Holy See, castles are often breached from the inside and need someone to help. You are dreaming. How could someone help? Take me for example. I am loyal to my master and will never betray him no matter what. Wayne sneered. The last piece of information, the Holy See has the ability to stop everything. After Mona finished speaking, she felt that something was missing and added, the above information was all hypothesized by me first, and then the senior executive analyzed and answered. The master's master was not exposed, and no one knew that he was in London now. Oh my God, so many people know it? Is it trustworthy? What if there is an undercover agent of the Thousand Eyes demon? Wayne was shocked, feeling that the church didn't take him seriously at all. It was hard for the Thousand Eyes demon not to notice this drastic operation. I know, get the 66 bodies as soon as possible, and send them all to the number 3 base tomorrow night. After the task is completed. Wayne looked at Mona deeply, I'm tired of it. Don't show up in front of me in the future. If I get interested one day, I will come here to find you. Mona's heart skipped a beat. Master, You prepare. It has nothing to do with you. If nothing unexpected happens, tomorrow night will be our last meeting. Be careful when preparing the suitcase, and don't put in the specific props mentioned by the high-ranking officials of the church, Wayne ordered, and left without looking back. Looking at the other party's back, Mona opened her mouth, and was a little reluctant for a while. If tomorrow night is really the last time they meet, she hopes that her people will show their true colors. She is not greedy, just take a look. The next night, Mona completed the task of transporting all 66 bodies, and was busy transporting them until dawn. The red lips of hell ate a full mouthful at once, and let out a creepy satisfied laugh. Wayne didn't talk to Mona, opened the portal and let her leave directly, holding 2 black crystals picked out of the suitcase in his hand, thinking about how to send them to the number 1 and number 2 bases. Base number 2 is relatively simple. Wayne can enter through the portal, and it is reasonable to find a reason to cause trouble and go there to fight. Anyway, Jareth doesn't like him. There is ABO in base number 1, so it is not difficult to send it in, but if it is discovered by the Thousand Eyes demon, the Death Knight's vest will be very passive. Wayne couldn't think of a safe way, so he just ignored it. He sent a lot of intelligence, so there was no need to continue taking risks. It was time for the church to fight for his life. He made up his mind to finish the last task tomorrow and start fishing, waiting for the good show to start. The portal opened, and Wayne stepped into the number 2 stronghold. He saw a black-robed younger brother and stopped him directly. "What's the matter? Yesterday your boss snorted coldly in my territory, and left with his right foot first. This is my return gift to him." Wayne punched the black-robed younger brother in the face, and 2 black crystals appeared between his fingers and fell into the cracks of the ruins. "Tell him to be polite next time in my territory, otherwise it will not be as simple as spanking him." After that, he opened the portal and walked away. "Then go and spank him." "Why spank me? Bullying an honest man, right?" The black-robed younger brother covered his face, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. This matter is not over, and he must find the boss to ask for an explanation.